Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How's everybody doing? Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party, guys. That is the best part, I promise you. So make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe, and you will never, ever miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Before we start, let's also say thank you to my6shirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. What is good? Welcome to the party. So we have a very, very interesting show for you guys tonight. Not even gonna, blather on. You probably know that Tucker went to Romania, went to talk to Andrew Tate. So without further ado, let's do it. As always, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
What are you charged with?
That's a really good question. I'm charged with being the head of an organized criminal group, which is in charge of recruiting girls to make TikTok videos to steal the money from the TikTok views.
Recruiting girls to make TikTok videos and stealing the money. So it's really a financial crime?
It looks that way, and it's
Shout out
very
to
interesting because the girls who they've identified to add to the file are saying that we're not victims of anything, and this isn't true. But the state believes it's true, and the state thinks that I, as a 35-year-old man, woke up. I was already extremely financially successful. I was already a father. I was already very well known. I had no financial motivation. I have no criminal record. It's not my personality profile, but I woke up at the age of 35 and decided to make girls do TikTok to enrich myself.
How dare you?
How dare you? Shout out to Unwanted Foe, said this should be hilarious. I don't know if hilarious is where I'm going to go, but interesting it will be. Also, shout out to Melted Mind Media, another awesome YouTuber. Just dropped the link to, Now I just dropped the link to his channel. Please definitely go and check him out. Homeless Tate is no more. He's shaved. He's back to his old top G status. I wonder what that means. Welcome to the party, guys.
With the pennies that I would earn from TikTok views.
So in the United States, I think the belief is that you were charged with human trafficking.
Yeah, that's human trafficking because what you do is you force a girl to work against her will for financial gain. That's you.
Shout out to Daniel Cabrera. Welcome to the party. He said more of a dumpster fire. It's going to be one of them. So I'm excited. Welcome.
Human trafficking, and their justification for this is that girls do TikTok. Some girls I know who they found who say they're not victims have TikTok accounts.
How do you?
Now already. Come on, bro. We know that you bragged for years and years and years about having a cam girl system where you'd come in, you said that you lied to them, you said that you did all this. Whether or not people think that the lover boy method should be illegal is a different question. And actually, that's going to be our next poll. Right now, we have a running poll. Do you think Tate will spend more time in jail or prison? And we are split 50-50. Maybe this will let us know. But that is definitely going to be next. So definitely think about what you think of the lover boy method.
You force someone to do TikTok videos.
You can't,
The
bro.
prosecutor's gonna have to explain that, isn't he? It's a very interesting scenario I'm in, and I'm inside of Romania, so I have to show a degree of respect to the Romanian judicial system, and I have to show a degree of respect to the situation I'm in. But the overall charge is that there's an organized criminal group. There's a group of us. I'm the head of it. My brother is below me. And
shout out to Opus. Welcome to the party, brother.
And we use the lover boy method to convince women to do TikTok videos to make money so that we can steal the TikTok money.
So just to be clear, you are not accused of pandering, of pimping, of forcing women to have sex with anybody.
No, not forcing them to have sex, not restraining their movement, not stopping them from living a full life, but the fact that we are somehow convincing them to have TikTok. Very interesting. I don't think...
But there's no...
And you guys know this one's going to get demonetized, so if you can help out, that would be great.
I'm asking you this because I do think it's a widespread belief that you were accused of pimping.
Yeah, no, that's nothing to do with any of this case. Absolutely nothing. And it's kind of scary because the crime in itself of human trafficking is a unique one because they can ignore the statement of the victim. So the girls have come forward and said, this is insane. You've just picked us because we're near Andrew and we're his friends. But the whole idea of the crime is they can say that she's brainwashed, right? She's under duress.
Not in Mafiaverse. I'm the mob boss in Mafiaverse. Come and check it out in the Indian Jesus Discord where the party never ends. Shout out to Indie Film, sponsor of the last video. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Said no idea on the poll. That is fine. We are going to have more of them. Welcome to the party, brother.
Duress. So you can ignore her statement. State says she's a victim regardless of the fact that she says she's not a victim. So it's very interesting because the difference between sex and rape is consent, right?
Right.
But they remove all of that. They're like, nope, you're a victim. No matter what you say, we're deciding you're a victim. And they've chosen them. And of course, these girls do nothing pornographic. They've never had sex with anyone, nothing to do with that. So they've picked TikTok. So it's scary. Imagine you're a full-grown man anywhere in the world today. They can find two girls who have TikTok on their phone, which is every single female on the planet.
One more shout out to Melted My Media for pointing this out to me. The only reason we are doing this is because he sent this to me. So thank you, Melted My Media. And
they can accuse you of forcing them to take the TikTok money. And even if the girls say they didn't do that, this isn't true, then you're still a human trafficker.
But force, what does that consist of? Forcing someone to do something. Are they accusing you of using violence or?
No, they're accusing me. And this thing.
So I love that Tucker is just getting right into it. No, like, hey, how have you been? How's it? Just getting right to it. Like, okay, what are we talking about? What's going on? What's the reality of it? And the right questions. Okay, they're saying force. Force is part of the law. What are we talking about? What exactly do you mean by force? If you ever notice when I'm in a debate or when we watch debates and people like to define terms, that's always a good thing. So shout out to Tucker.
They're accusing me of using the lover boy method, coercing them by being nice.
And by the way, these charges presumably are public, so...
They're public, and this is extremely serious. But if you actually analyze the overall case against me, they're saying that Andrew and his brother...
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm on to so telling someone they are a victim, regardless of how said person feels, reminds me of a certain political movement and group. Spot on.
Brother, by being nice men, convinced girls to have TikTok accounts and then take the money. And it's
come on, StreamYard. I want the emojis.
Very interesting because inside of the entire case file, there's not a single financial transaction to us for money.
What are the penalties?
They're extremely severe. 5 to 10 years in jail. And I've already served, coming up now, 7 months in a form of jail.
Yep. It was 6 months, and then he's been under house arrest. I thought that I guess no. It was at the end of June that they had to bring charges. So they did bring charges that they're talking about at the end of June.
They can only.
So you are essentially incarcerated right now.
Absolutely, I'm on house arrest, and that counts as jail.
Can we see his ankle bracelet? I guess that's the. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. That's awesome. Nice.
You can only be held 6 months without charge. I was initially picked up, thrown in a cell without charge. And I think the intention of the entire investigation at that point was to find the crime because they had very, very weak evidence. They contacted 2,000 people who know me or knew me.
2,000.
They tried very hard to convince some female somewhere to come forward and say something bad about me. The media machine, which works hands in hands with the justice machine, as you know very well, did exactly that. In fact, they offered bribes effectively. They'd call up ex-girlfriends and say, if you have anything bad to say about Andrew, we can pay you $50,000 for the story. And they tried very hard. They didn't find any evidence of anything. They then released me on house arrest. And then 2 days before the legal limit in which they had to drop everything, they charged me with whatever they had from the beginning.
And, we, those of us watching, obviously don't know exactly what happened. We know what he has said in his videos, and we know what he's charged of. But it was a little convenient in terms of the narrative that charges were brought only 2 days into or 2 days away from when they would have had to release him. You'd think if they had something legitimate that they would have brought it before that. And the annoying part about that is the fact that happens isn't going to change anybody's mind. So if you think he was already guilty, then, well, see, of course, now they got charges. If you think that he's not guilty, well, of course they're going to give him charges. It's, they can't hold him anymore. So I don't like that. Unwanted foe said, weird how YouTube hasn't fixed those emojis to. No, that's StreamYard, because they're I can see them in the YouTube chat. They just come up like this in StreamYard. So, yep. But Yeah, must be too busy demonetizing people like me.
which is very little. And now we have to wait for the Romanian judicial system to analyze the file and, God willing, throw it away.
How long did you spend in jail?
I was in jail for 92 days in a Romanian
Damn.
jail cell.
Real quick, already, the top one here, already demonetized.
What was that like?
What was that?
It was certainly an interesting experience. I won't lie and say it was easy. It was certainly very difficult. The uncertainty of it. It's a very uncertain situation to be picked up on just before New Year's Eve and thrown in a cell without charge. And I'm asking different prison guards and different prisoners, how long am I going to be here? One person was like,
It won't let me end the poll.
I've been here 2 years. I was like, have you been charged? He goes, yeah, but I haven't gone to court yet. Like, everyone's been there for years. I thought I was going to be there for years. And it certainly takes a mental toll on you. And I think jail is a different experience when you know you're innocent. When there was a guy in there for murder, he's like, yeah, I murdered someone, I'm in jail. You can your soul and your mind can accept the punishment for a crime.
Now, I've only been arrested in very small, in a small capacity for like weed and stuff. But, I was in New York City, and I was at a New York City jail, and there was people in the cell right next to me who were there for life. And they were in the short time that I was there. I mean, it was a whole day. But in the short time I was there, I heard multiple times, bro, I'm a lifer. I don't give a F. They know. And so when you've resided yourself to, yes, I did this. This is the punishment. It is what it is. But when you're innocent, and again, I'm not claiming innocence for Tate, nor am I saying he's guilty, but absolutely correct that when you're he's saying, when your soul and your mind aren't in congruence, then it's way it's got to be way worse. Daniel says, I think part of his charm is how articulate he is with his words. Absolutely. Melton My Media said, Tate, the commercial killer, unlike Dylan Mulvaney.
But when you've actually done nothing wrong, I think jail's a lot harder.
Did you know why you were there?
Not initially. So for about the first 2 weeks, I never actually got told in English what I was accused of, because I was arrested on December 29th. There's New Year's.
What were the circumstances of that?
Yeah, December 29th, 5 a.m., the armed guards ran in this house. They spent all day searching the entire house. They're very interested in electronics, as most federal agencies are. And then they took me that evening and said, we're going to go and put you in jail for 24 hours. And after 24 hours, you see a judge, and the judge will decide if you stay in jail. And the judge decided I should stay in jail.
What did you do? I mean, who'd you call?
I had a lawyer, and my lawyer came and he said, we need to analyze the case file. We need to see what they have against you.
And again, I don't want to keep chopping it up. We're only 5 minutes in, 6 minutes in, about 5 minutes in, and already we are having a more interesting conversation than what the BBC lady tried to do. Already, shout out to Nick Alexander. Welcome to the party. Said Andrew Tate made himself the #1 enemy of the deep state, perhaps to take the targets off of other freedom fighters. Interesting point. Never really thought of that. And also inspiring others to stand up to these deep state bullies. Very gutsy. I agree. And welcome to the party, Nick. Welcome.
You're being accused of human trafficking. It's like, human trafficking? That's insane. Who? Hurrah! When? What? I went to jail, and then I was given all this paper in Romanian. I don't speak Romanian, although I live here. And then I was waiting for the translation. So I think it's about 2 weeks before I finally got the papers in English to understand why I was in a jail cell.
That's got to be a long 2 weeks.
And then I really understood how insane the accusations were.
What is human trafficking?
Yeah, so the overall, my understanding of it, they're saying that human trafficking is when you convince a woman to do something she doesn't want to do for financial gain. And there's different methods you can do that. You can do that through force, and you can also do that through emotional coercion.
I think
emotional coercion. So I don't know what's going on with the YouTube chat. It's not letting me do a new poll. So we're just going to go old school and just give me a yes or a no in the chat. But do you think that the lover boy method, where you're not physically forcing anybody, but you use emotional coercion to get people to do whatever, do you think that should be illegal? Not to my mean, he's like, damn, I thought it was a drug. Not quite.
Most people, just speaking from the American perspective, most people believe that human trafficking is effectively slavery, selling human beings.
That's what I believe as well. Absolutely. And this is the thing that's so interesting when you finally end up the
Struggle streaming, come on.
enemy of the matrix, and they use the legal system as a weapon to punish you for having an opinion. You realize how subjective the law is, right? Because it can be a weapon. When you have something subjective, you can just pick and choose. So if they sit and say, human trafficking is a woman doing something for financial gain against her will via emotional coercion. Well, he knows these two girls, they have TikTok
Emotional coercion?
Convincing her. That's what I'm accused of, because they have no proof of me doing anything wrong. So they said he's convinced these girls to do TikTok for money. The girls have said this is not true. And the state is denying their statement, saying, no, you're brainwashed. It is true.
How is that any way to handle justice?
And I went to jail.
So how is the state, so the state is trying to coerce the women.
Yep.
So how is the state not committing human trafficking by the same definition?
Based! Oh my goodness! How did I not think of that? That is brilliant. Exactly. They are doing exactly the same thing for their own personal gain. Rules for thee, but not for me.
Absolutely. It's very interesting. It's very interesting that you can sit someone down and tell them they're a victim when they say they're not a victim.
You're a victim of being coerced, and we're going to try to coerce you into conceding you were coerced.
Exactly. It's a very interesting scenario. And okay, yeah, and it's a very interesting scenario. And it's up until this point, no judge has looked at the evidence of the case. So up until this point, I've been to court a bunch of times. But the only reason I was in court was to discuss my preventative detention. So under Romanian law, if you being free can impede the investigation, you should stay in jail.
Which is stupid, because everybody knows who Andrew Tate is. He's the most Googled man in the world. Like, where is he going to go that people aren't going to know that he's there?
So the judge agreed that, yeah, maybe if he's free, he can damage this investigation because they're trying very hard to get something on this guy. So I've done a bunch of jail time. And now it just begins. The judge is going to look at the case. And like I said, God willing, I still have enough faith in the Romanian judicial system that she's going to look at this and go, this is not a crime.
So that brings a lot of doubt onto the actual conclusion of what the charges actually mean. Because if so far all they've been fighting over is whether or not he can await his trial out of custody or not, and they haven't even looked at the actual crime yet, then that gives him a lot more wiggle room, or at least a lot more hope that it's not like he's gone this far down. They know what's going on, and the prosecutors really. So I mean, I wouldn't say he should be hopeful, but definitely fingers crossed. So, somebody actually answered me. Thank you. Melted Mind Media said, no, Loverboy-ish is fine. Yeah, I agree. I agree that, if you are able to give, because you wouldn't have this idea in any other facet of society. I convinced somebody to do a thing of their own free will, but I brainwashed them and now I'm a criminal.
What?
Name another area where that's the law.
Or you're aware of the media coverage of this, however. So you're in jail for 90 days or more, and the rest of the world is talking about you. Do you know what they're saying?
They're saying very heinous things, and I would hate to come across as a conspiracy theorist, Tucker, but I kind of have a feeling that this might be something to do with my influence and an attempt to slander my name. Perhaps I'm crazy.
Maybe.
But the fact that they chose such a heinous crime, and they reported it so heavily, and they won't shut up and keep repeating basically a slander attack day after day after day. Also considering the fact that other people who genuinely commit heinous crimes have far more favorable press coverage. But I don't want you to think I'm
based. Let's compare the news coverage of Jordan Neely versus Andrew Tate. Not comparing them, their crimes, not comparing their lives, just the coverage. What was the coverage like? Melty says, how is a chick not going to realize I don't need you to make the money? Well, I guess Tate is good at his job.
Conspiracy theorist. Please, Tucker, I would hate for you to come here and call me crazy. Yeah. But something very strange about it, and I think
when Jeffrey Epstein's friends call you immoral?
Yeah. The goal of it is certainly to slander my name, and I like to see it as a litmus test. I like to see it as an intelligence test. Anybody who wakes up and looks at me and goes, he's a human trafficker because of TikTok, they're fully gone.
So, but from the West, just to defend the average news consumer in the West.
Sure.
Andrew Tate, kind of an outlaw,
Yep.
lives in some palace in Romania, wherever that is.
Yep.
I like it's so funny because when I was a default liberal, I was brainwashed to think that anything Republican, anything Fox News, anything was all evil, lie, bad. And I used to get so, it would grind my gears how Tucker would act like Tucker. I mean, you guys know what I mean. Oh, well, yeah. Well, why are they doing that? I couldn't imagine why that tone that he has where he plays dumb in that sarcastic manner. I used to hate it, but now that I kind of see through the matrix, to use Tate's language, I love it. I love it. Melton My Media said, and how much background work was he doing before he could afford it to buy people to do the work the man has put in the time? Very true. And let's also, again, I want to keep stressing that I'm not taking a side as to what is going on. As always, when on this show, what we do is look at conversations. We look at how people are conversing with each other and how people handle themselves. So that's really, whether or not he is guilty is, very interesting, but not really the point of this stream.
And and Romania sounds like the kind of place where human trafficking is like the main industry.
A lot of it happens here. That's what's so crazy about it, right? What's so crazy is if they really want to find a human trafficker, I think they could probably do it quite easily. But they managed to get me.
That's certainly the perception. But it's one of those charges that kind of sells itself.
Oh, absolutely. And it doesn't matter if you're found guilty or not, right? You're a human trafficker forever. And but I do think that public consciousness is changing. I think with things like there's been some very large court cases recently involving some very famous people in which women were caught lying, trying to slander men's names for rape and these kinds of things. And I don't think people believe it anymore. But that scares me to a degree because I think that the typical weapon, the standardized playbook is now failing. And I don't know what the new playbook's going to be. It's almost like better the devil you know. That you're too famous, you're too successful, we don't like you. Call him a rapist or a human trafficker, put him all over the news, slander his name, try and wreck his life.
That's a great point that we know. Okay, that's the thing. He's already said like, oh, first they cancel you, then they debank you, then they arrest you, then they kill you. But that process, if that's, if he's saying they've run that playbook already, they've run that play already, and they're coming up with something new, like, what could it be?
Now that nobody believes it, what's the next move? What are they going to try next?
Wouldn't it just have been easier to commit like a massive financial crime and defraud people of billions, come up with like a fake cryptocurrency, call it like, I don't know, FTX, or just give a name to it.
Oh, he said, wow, I don't know, FTX or something random like that.
And then, steal billions and get your parents involved and buy a bunch of real estate in the Bahamas. And then like, you'd be sort of a hero, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I would have certainly made a lot more money than TikTok because I don't think TikTok even pays you for views. And if it certainly does, I never got a single transaction from it. So it's a very interesting scenario. But if I was accused of a financial crime, my name would not be slandered. So
no, of course. Well, of course.
And Melty's, I guess you already watched this and said he uses savage and atheist as adjectives. So we might be dancing on the line of, hey, I love what you're saying. Hey, I hate what you're saying. I guess we don't have to stay tuned.
No, you have the presumption of innocence. So just back to the jail thing. So you're in with your brother.
At the beginning, I was not, but towards the end, I was, yeah.
What did you do all day?
It's a good question.
Chess?
I looked at the wall, stared at the wall, smoked cigarettes, lots of push-ups, read the Quran.
You smoked cigarettes, did push-ups, and read the Quran.
Basically, yes. And certainly had some introspective moments. Tried my best to get out, tried my best to via my small phone calls, understand what's happening in the outside world. Tried to make sure that the people I love and care about are taken care of because I'm the man of my family and I'm also the man of quite a large, I wouldn't say empire, but life.
And that's a lot of people that, again, guilty or not guilty, there's a lot of people who are depending on Andrew Tate to be Andrew Tate in order to make their money. Now, you can make the argument that by associating themselves with Andrew Tate, that's questionable in and of itself, but the fact remains. That that's a lot of people that are, but being just treated unfairly.
A whole lot of people who rely on me. You have staff and families, you have children and families.
Feeling, yeah.
So when you're plucked from that, it's kind of strange. You're in jail, and you're concerned for yourself, but your primary concerns are also all your duties as a man. I have duties as a man. I don't want children to starve.
You've got a whole tribe.
I've got people to pay. So it was very, very frustrating, constantly trying to make sure everybody else was okay and feeling helpless. That's what hurt me the most. I was trying to make sure everybody I love and care about was fine, and I wasn't as powerful as I should have been. And that was very upsetting. And especially if they're going to keep me there for years, I was having serious concerns about how I can feed the people I love.
So Nick says, not to mention the media's coverage of one of the biggest the world's biggest criminal, Bill Gates, who's killed and maimed millions of people, particularly in Africa and India, and a PDF file, just to name a few. He is on the right side, though. He is on the side of the establishment. So, of course, they were going to run cover for him. Of course, he can do whatever he wants. He could go on TV. He could go on TV talking about Jeffrey Epstein. And the host can say, what do you think you learned from all this? And say, well, somebody died. Which sounds to me like, don't F with me or you're going to die. But that's fine, right? I mean, I am not going to stand up here and say that Bill Gates is not a PDF file. You want to die on that hill, go for it. But not me.
Did you ever come to the edge at all?
The edge of...
No. I certainly had some days I was less happy than others.
Like that?
But I made sure that my mindset was built in a way that I could always be doing something constructive. And also, I think you get what you give in life. And if I ever felt particularly sad on a day, I would try very hard to make other people happy, because if I made other people smile, I'd feel better. So even the dinner ladies or the prison guards, I'd try very hard just to make people smile. I know it sounds silly. Some of the prison guards were more open than others, but there was a couple of prison guards who were ice cold, who didn't want to say a word to me, and were like, hey, bro, your hair looks amazing. And you just stare at me like he wants, shut up. I just try my best to cheer people up, to cheer myself up. And as a man, all you can do is just find the resolve to continue doing the best you can in this current circumstance. So,
what did he do to me? He didn't do anything to me personally, but that doesn't mean that I don't hate PDF files.
What were the other prisoners like?
I don't want to insult Romania in any way, and I love this country, and I chose to live here. But if I had to describe it for the people, for an American audience to understand, I don't think Romania and a lot of these countries have the same kind of mental health setup or the mental health support that a lot of Western nations have. So you end up in jail. So I think there was a lot of mental health problems inside the jail. So it was very similar. It wasn't just a jail. There was also a lot of mental health problems in there, which adds a new complexity and a new dimension to the suffering.
I completely, understand what he's saying, but I don't know how different that is from the American system. Like, they don't have crazy houses like they used to. They don't have mental health institutions like they used to. Most of those people end up either homeless or in jail. And I mean, there's levels to this shit. So maybe it's way, way worse. But I mean, I'd be willing to bet at least 10% of Americans' prison population deserves to not be in jail, but in an institution getting help. So if it's worse there, like, yikes.
Because there's just random screaming and there's suicide and it's certainly not a very nice place to be.
Oh, so it's horrifying.
Oh,
yeah, I don't want to go back.
Tucker. Oh, so the Romanian jail, you're saying, is horrifying.
You hear the phrase Romanian prison and it sounds tough. So it was what you would imagine.
It is. And when this process is over, there's a lot more I will say. But I will say the staff were very nice to me, and I want to make this clear. I want to make it very clear that all the staff in the jail were very professional and very nice to me. I would almost say that they believed I was innocent and they understood that I didn't belong there. There was a semi-apologetic vibe to the way I was treated by the guards.
The only way that would make sense to me, and again, I don't know anything about Romanian prisons, but I don't know. That seems like a weird thing that you would know. I don't know.
If that makes sense.
That sounds like he's just running
very
cover.
Well. I don't think anybody, like I said, with a functioning brain believes that me at the age of 35 decided to steal TikTok money and ruin my entire life without financial motivation to girls who say they're not victims of anything. I don't think anybody with a brain.
Well, the fact that you're not accused of a sex crime or of violence, which
Yep.
I think most people don't really understand.
Yep.
And they can look it up.
Yep.
I mean, but you're not actually accused of
Correct.
rape,
Correct.
selling anyone,
Correct.
pimping.
Correct.
Okay.
Glad you cleared that up, Melty. We were all wondering.
That right there raises a lot of questions.
Well, yeah, and this is the thing that's so interesting because I'm accused of using a method of human trafficking called the lover boy method. So how that would traditionally work is a man.
Okay, so again, I can't end the poll, so please just a Y or an N in the chat. He's going to explain exactly what he's being charged with under the lover boy method. Do you think, what he's about to say, do you think this should be illegal?
Would meet a girl, become her boyfriend, take her to another country, turn her into a prostitute, say I love you, like pimping.
Of course.
But they're saying, because all my conversations with these girls are very nice, they're saying that I use the lover boy method to convince them to do TikTok. And once again, I never made a penny from TikTok, and I have no interest in girls' TikTok's accounts, and I've never made any money from TikTok in my life.
Okay, so I didn't completely explain it, but you get what he's saying. Do you think that should be illegal or no?
So that raises the question. So that right there, I think, I mean, we can let people assess. I'm not, an expert on the Romanian legal code, but that's kind of not the impression that most people have.
Oh,
Okay,
and that's the media, and that's the media who have made that the media have tried very hard to do that. And if I had to estimate, I think that the overall intention was just to throw me in a cell, use the media machine to drum up something real. I think that's what the goal was.
So, but what's the?
Thank you.
I believe that. It seems obviously.
Yeah.
One thing, I've never been to Romania before, and one thing I'm struck by is the American presence here.
Oh, it's massive.
Fully.
Melted Mind Media says not for pimping a chick out. Yeah, it's just different things. And Unwanted Foe says it perfectly. How can you make it illegal for someone of consenting age to grow fond of someone? If that's the case, then anything a spouse does for another spouse or a girlfriend does for a boyfriend or other way, then all of that would be trafficking. How can that be the letter of the law? Opus said, so let's just give them that the lover boy is let's just give them that lover boy is legitimate illegal. What do you mean? Give who? Because it is illegal. I'm just saying I don't think it should be.
We understand that. So there are 3 NATO bases here.
Yep.
Now. They're bustling because of the war in Ukraine.
Yep.
One's on the Black Sea,
Yep.
right below Crimea. So this is strategically important, this country, to NATO.
Absolutely.
And so this is a lot less far away than I realized.
Where are they, Opus? They've spoken out and saying, oh, we're not victims at all. And that's what they're talking about before. Like, no. I know you think that, but you're brainwashed. We're coercing you emotionally into doing this for our benefit. But we're charging him for emotionally coercing you to do what he wants. Yep. Unwanted Foe. I want my husband to take me on a vacation. I'll act real nice and dress sexy so he tells me yes. What's the difference? Nothing. And he said, Andy Phelan said, I definitely got lover girled over the past 6 years. Hey, call the feds. Call the feds. You can get her locked up for trafficking you, bro. Trafficking you. She trafficked you. According to the law, at least in Romania. Shout out to Smith45 ACP. Welcome to the party. Said, love you, bro. Love you too, bro. Good to see you.
It's much more American influence.
Oh, absolutely. I
think
think
that played a role?
Yeah, well, I think, and I don't want to get this incorrect, I think it's the 2nd or 3rd biggest U.S. embassy in the world. The U.S. embassy here looks like a prison. It's huge. They've got a huge embassy here. And even during Ceausescu, during the communism days, Romania was an ally of the West, even during communism.
Yes.
So, yes.
Ceausescu came to New York.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So Romania and America have been very good friends for a very long time. I have to be careful what I say, but it's certainly very interesting what's happened to me. The American embassy were not particularly helpful. Let's put it that way. They weren't very interested in me being locked up without charge. They didn't seem very interested in getting me out.
But you're an American citizen.
Absolutely. And
so you're an American passport holder.
Correct.
So I think the average American believes, perhaps falsely, that if you are accused of a crime in a foreign country, particularly a less developed country like Romania,
they gonna come and get you,
and someone takes an interest in your case just to make sure that your treatment falls within, accepted standards of justice.
Nope, at least not in Romania. I mean, if the embassy looks like a prison, like, come on.
Yeah, they came to see me, but when I was asking them what they can actually do about all of this, they weren't particularly helpful. I don't want to peddle conspiracy theories, and I've heard a lot of information, etc. But I wouldn't say they sanctioned it. I don't know if they had to sanction it, but they weren't particularly interested in getting me out. But at least they came to see me more than once. I mean, they kind of pretended to care. The UK embassy didn't even pretend to care. The UK embassy was, I really think they enjoyed it. They didn't.
And you're a British subject as well?
Correct. And this is the kind of thing, and I want.
Opus says, why would the U.S. have an enormous embassy in a podunk country like Romania? Couldn't be to do with things that are illegal in the U.S. I mean, definitely, but they and I could not point out Romania on a map, but from what I understand, where it's located is very strategic militarily. And I mean, there's U.S. bases and embassies everywhere.
I want to say this here. That's kind of frustrating for me because Romania is my home now for 7 years, but I'm half British, half American originally. And when something like this happens to you, you have this longing for home. You kind of want to go home. When you end up in a jail in a country where, even though you've lived for a long time, you don't speak the language, you don't understand the legal system, going to court in a foreign language is far more intimidating than in your own language. You don't have a clue what.
And I mean, there's times where you might be sitting at home watching TV, watching a movie you've seen a number of times, and God, I'm bored. Like, let's do something. I'm bored. And then you're in a situation where if all you could do was just plop down in your bed in silence, no electricity, no heating or air conditioning, you would sell your soul. It's all about perspective.
What's being said, you don't understand how anything works. And then you kind of have this longing for home, but I feel like my home countries hate me, and they hate me because of my message, which I believe to be a positive message. So you kind of have this strange feeling of homelessness, because it's like, well, if I go to the UK, I believe they're going to attack me the same. If I go to America, I believe they're going to attack me the same. So where do you go?
And the fact that so many people resonate with, or he resonates with them, a lot of people would feel that way. That you would expect, as Tucker was saying, that you would expect that, even if you don't like my message, that at the end of the day, we're all Americans. And if something goes down, America's got America's back. If you're not working for the establishment, they don't give a flying fuck about you. They hate you because you ain't Tate. Close. They hate us because they ain't us.
It's kind of scary.
Where do you go?
It's a good question. We're going to have to see.
How did you wind up here?
I moved to Romania. I came to visit a long time ago. Before anybody ever visited Romania, I came to visit, and I genuinely fell in love with the place. It truly is a fantastic country. I love nature, as an amazing nature. It's a very safe place. It has this reputation of being dangerous. It's not dangerous. It's very safe. The people are very good. The people are very conservative traditionally. It's almost like America was 20, 30 years ago. It's gorgeous. They have a bunch of nice restaurants and plenty of things to do, and I've never had a problem here in any way.
Except for the time that they threw me in jail for 6 months and then put me on house arrest for another month for something that I claim I didn't do.
Never had any issue with the law or with the other side, criminals, nothing, until this came out of nowhere. So it's been very strange.
So what is it about your message, do you think, that infuriates certain people?
Well, my message is traditional masculinity. My message is to stand up and say what you mean and mean what you say. And even going to the gym nowadays is an act of defiance, because when you have a man who's built with any degree of principle, you say no to things.
Shout out to St. Michael.
And I think if I have to analyze my message and why I'm so disliked by the people who dislike me, it's not the things I'm saying. It's the fact that if you adhere to my principles and you adhere to the things I say,
Bro, we were just talking about Secret Invasion. You didn't watch the last episode from last week when Rhodey called, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but they use that. It's it can be a racial slur, which is why I'm not saying it out loud, but it also is meant to refer to the feds.
End up being the kind of person who will resist certain ideas. You say no. What kind of man never says no? Name a man who never says no.
Beta.
Men say no, right? Men wake up and say, no, I don't think that should be done this way. No, my children will not be taught that. No.
The father's primary job.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So when you say to men, listen, you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to have standards. You're allowed to have boundaries and barriers. You're allowed to get up and become important and work hard and try hard and become the kind of man who can't be controlled. then you're seen as an enemy. And especially with the massive influence I've gained, I think they look at me and go, he's helping men resist the slave programming. We don't need him around. We need to empty their brains.
Yep. And even if you don't think that he is some great mind, the fact is that a lot of people do, and they don't like that.
So we can inject the slave programming and convince men to be eunuchs, because once you're eunuch, then you're not a threat.
Beta! I think I buy that. Because your message, I'm not the world's expert on your message, but I've seen a lot of it, and it's not explicitly political, actually.
No, it's not political at all.
Nope.
And their original attack before this Matrix attack is a weaponized virtue.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, St. Michael. If I'm pretty sure I knew that Tucker's dad was somebody. But is that fact? Does anyone want to fact check that?
Which is what they usually do. There's no genuine virtue inside of these people. They weaponize virtue. They find a virtue and they turn it into a bullet and they shoot at you. I'm sure you know very well.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah. I was a misogynist for the longest time just for saying that men should have standards.
How dare you?
If you tell a man he can have standards in a relationship in any way, you're a misogynist. It's actually very interesting because
what does that mean to have standards in a relationship?
But this is the thing that's so interesting about it, because they've gendered the argument when I never did. I said as a man, you shouldn't have a girlfriend who is a liar and a cheater, and you also shouldn't have male friends who are liars and cheaters. You shouldn't be around dishonest people,
yes,
male or female.
Amen.
And
Amen.
they gendered it and said, he's a misogynist. He's saying that men should only act this way with women, etc. I said that men should have standards, and you should have protocols that you're prepared to accept, and you should have hard parameters. And if a woman doesn't want to adhere to those parameters, that's her decision. And it's
fair enough, right? Yeah, I did know that Tate's dad was a chess master. I don't know that that is mutually exclusive, but shout out to JH. Welcome to the party. Said that was a cover, of course. Well, I mean, it would have been a good one.
It's her prerogative, but
Welcome
you don't have
to
to
the
stay
party,
with her.
JH.
Why should you?
What's wrong with that?
Well, that's teaching men to say no. They don't want men to say no.
So are you arguing that it's better to be with a virtuous woman?
I think so. Yes, I know that's
No,
crazy.
I'm serious. I mean, that seems
I
like
am,
a
Tucker. I don't want to.
That seems like good advice.
Hold up. Are you telling me that it's better to be with a virtuous woman as opposed to a slore who belongs to the streets? I don't think I believe that.
I don't want to come across as extreme, but yes, I am. And what's actually funny is I really believe most of the things I'm saying were accepted by absolutely everybody 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And
I thought he was going to say, I really do believe most of the things that I'm saying.
now it's public enemy number one. And it's because of the mass influence I have. At one point, I became the most Googled man on earth. At one point.
All right, so we got a fact check saying that Andrew Tate's dad was never never a government official. So I guess we can throw that one away. Thank you for the fact check.
And it's a scary situation I'm
But
in.
if you're arguing that it's really important for a man to find a good woman,
Yeah.
a decent woman,
Yeah.
an honest woman,
Yep.
that's the truest thing that's ever been said. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the most important thing any man can do. I mean, I can just tell you firsthand.
Oh, thank you very
Being
much.
Married 32 years, that's the most important thing. And you think saying that angered people?
Absolutely, because I'm arguing the only way to do that is via masculine excellence. I'm saying
Mhm.
in the world we live in today, it's hyper competitive. And if you want to be the kind of man that has the choice of women to choose a good one, you need to be an excellent man. It's no longer acceptable for you to just be an average Joe or below average.
No, all women are 10s and we all are queens. And, you know, it doesn't matter what we say or what we look like or what we do. We deserve the best and we're 10s. Let's go.
You have to get up and you have to work hard and you have to be smart and interesting and you have to be charismatic and make some money and be in good shape and you have to try very hard. And unfortunately for them, if you follow that path as a man and you become successful in those realms, you end up being the kind of person who resists
An enemy.
enslavement. You become the kind of person who wakes up and says, no, I don't believe in that. That
And those are the people that the establishment, the theys, think are enemies.
doesn't make sense to
I
me.
can't imagine a better message than that.
If you want a good society, so then you have to argue and say, do these people want a happy, functioning society or do they want something else?
What do you think?
I think that I would never kill myself. And I
Based-
also,
Just throwing that out there.
and I also think that when you,
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I am having so much fun watching this because they're two people who are like, I don't know that you would see this conversation. Even a year ago, would you have expected that this could come together? And they're just such big personality. I'm having fun. I don't know about you guys.
When you want to conquer a society, you kill the military-age males. That's what you do. That's the first thing they've ever done. They walk in and all the men have to have their throats cut. They can't perhaps do that, but they can certainly cut your balls off. And then you can't resist.
Or they can convince you that you want to cut your own balls off.
And I think there's certainly a movement to ensure that there's very little resistance left inside of the number one demographic, which is required to resist oppression, which are military-age males. And they don't want those kind of people waking up with any kind of self-respect or standards, or to say, no, I don't accept this. I do not need a 9th injection. They don't want that. They want you to sit and say, I don't need it, but the news said so, oh well.
So in the one interview that you and I did, you had a line that I've been thinking about ever since. I thought it was so interesting. I never thought of it before. You said that a lot of people went along with the vax, and that you didn't judge them because facts change. But now that we know that a lot of what we were told was wrong and some of it was a lie.
You guys remember that Atlantic article where they're like, well, okay, we really just need to have amnesty and everybody just needs to go back. No apologies necessary. We were totally wrong and we treated you like second-class citizens, but we didn't know. So let's just go back. No. How about that?
It is a requirement of your own dignity, of your own self-respect.
Oh, no. Now Tucker's dad was never a government official. Come on. St. Michael out here spreading misinformation on my channel. Thankfully, we've got Melted Mind Media here to combat the media that melts your mind.
To say so.
Completely. And people should apologize. I really do believe. And I have nothing against the people who fell for the propaganda, fell for the programming, and took the vaccine.
Yes, I agree.
Fine. But you should wake up and say, I was fooled. I've learned my lesson. I will not be fooled again. But if you were fooled by the MSM and took the injection and you continue to be fooled and you've not self-reflected and you've not realized that they lied to you the entire way and you now believe the new bunch of lies that are all over the television, then there's something wrong with you.
Or you don't care that you were lied to.
You don't care that you were lied to, because I think a lot of this is actually genuinely cowardice. I think it's a very easy worldview. The life is easier if you accept the news tells the truth.
Yes.
Everything they want me to believe is true. Everything's nice and simple. Good guys, bad guys. Doop-de-doop-de-doo.
I like good thing. So I'm good person. You don't like good thing? You're a bad person. And he's absolutely right about the fact that, okay, if you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. But it's your responsibility to understand the mistakes that you've made. I've told you guys many, many, many times, despite having spent years as a drug addict, the most shameful thing I've ever done in my entire life was listen to the mainstream media and cast a vote for Hillary Clinton. I'm ashamed. But I learned from that. They brainwashed me to thinking that if Trump won that the 2016 election, that the world would end. And I believed them. And then it didn't. And then I was like, oh, you're lying. So I stopped listening to them. Shout out to Nick in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing, brother? So I'm glad you're covering this because I saw it, wanted to watch, but just before I crashed last night. Well, that's what I got you for, brother. Never have to worry about being late. Thank you for being here. Shout out to you, brother.
And if you want to actually wake up, it takes a degree of bravery, because then you have to destroy your entire worldview, everything you've ever understood and everything you're told. And you have to really look at the world and go, oh, this is a mess. And that takes bravery. And once again, that's why they don't want men to be brave. They want you to sit there and go, oh, it's easier if just, CNN said, so it must be true. And it's cowardice. And they're trying to instill cowardice in all of us. That's what they're trying very hard to do. And I think even just me as a person, the people who hate me, my detractors who dislike me so much, even if I say nothing, I just turn up, big, bald, strong, fast car. It's just me. I'm like the enemy to them. Because I symbolize men who don't comply, and not don't comply in a negative law-breaking way, but don't comply if we don't agree with that or we don't see common sense in that, we're going to politely decline.
And that is enough. That is enough to bring down the entire system. It only exists based on our faith. Yes, faith, which is why dogma is bad, whether it's religion or you believe that a man can transform into a female. Dogma is bad.
And that's simply not allowed.
What's it like to have the prospect of prison hanging over you?
It sucks.
I think that
it sucks.
I like to believe that this is a test from God. I like to believe that if you become the most Googled man in the world for saying that you have mental resilience, that God is going to make sure you don't have that degree of fame without testing you. I like to believe that God comes along and says, yes, I've allowed you to become the top G. We're going to see if you really are the top G. I believe that's how the world works. It's certainly intimidating, especially knowing you're completely innocent. But I believe it's a test, and I believe it's my job to pass the test for my ancestors and for people watching over me and for God. And I think I have to do the absolute best I can possibly do in the scenario and the circumstance, regardless of whether I win or lose. I still believe I'm going to win because I've seen the case file and I've seen that no laws have been broken. But even in the very unfortunate circumstance that this matrix attack goes deep enough to throw me into a jail cell, I think I should handle it like a man. I think I should stay and finish the process, and I should walk with my head held high and suffer as much as I need to suffer to stick by my convictions and know that I'm an innocent person. And I refuse to break. I refuse to cry. I refuse to be depressed about it. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to smile regardless.
We also have to understand that as much as we can admire how he is handling this situation, we don't want to lose sight of the fact that there definitely were laws broken. He admitted to fraud on camera. I watched that video where he said, they are dumb. You tell them that you're taking this much for taxes, and then they don't know. That is fraud. But that's not really why we're here, is it?
And regardless of what happens to me, I want everyone to know that, one, I would never kill myself. And two, I think that as a man, there's always going to be a degree of pain and suffering in your journey. I don't think you're ever going to become a successful man or be good at being a man without pain and suffering. And there's many times in my life where something terrible happened to me. And at the time, if I could change it, I would have. But retrospectively, you kind of look back and go, you know what? That was formulative for me.
That's right.
That is what God decided I needed to become who I became. So all of the pain and all the suffering I've ever gone through in my life ended up in the end building me into the person I am. And I'm proud of who I am.
So notice how I didn't bring up anything about how, like, oh, you're going to be God. I don't necessarily care where you get your inspiration from. What I care about is how you behave and what values do you uphold.
So if God decides I need to go back to a Romanian dungeon for however many days, then all I can do is
that true?
Accept it and accept his plan and accept that it's going to make me a better person. And
so you see the hand of God in your life?
Absolutely. I think that he is the best of planners. And like I said, if you retrospectively analyze all the times in life you wish you could have changed things,
yes,
he knew better. And I'm going to have to accept that.
When did you conclude that?
I guess I always kind of knew. I was atheistic for a while when I was younger. But as you get older, you start to look at the world and understand that the thing for me was actually, I guess, a scientific principle. It was Newton's law of equal and opposite force. If there is evil in the world, and I'd like to think we both agree there certainly is,
yes,
there has to be an equal and opposite force, which is good.
Hey, shout out to the Uncle Junior Network. Welcome to the party. Good to see you, brother. Another awesome YouTuber. Just drop the link. Please go check him out. Welcome to the party.
And I would like to think of that as God. Even the idea of God as a notion, even just as a concept, if that idea of God
crazy
resists evil.
That's crazy. This is how Andrew Tate's dad died. That is crazy.
Then God is real. If you have two islands, you have two people.
Wait.
God as a notion force, which is good. And I would like to think of that as God. Even the idea of God as a notion, even just as a concept, if that idea of God resists evil, then God is real.
See, this is the semantic obfuscation. That's not what people mean when they say God. Now, I'm not going to dig into all of that because that's not really what we're talking about today. And there's a lot here, and I'd like to get through as much as we can. But notice how he switched words around. He's not talking about a man in the sky. He's not talking about a omnipotent consciousness that does this, that, or the other. He's talking about a concept of something that's bigger than ourselves. And he's calling it God. And then he's fitting it into what he thinks makes sense. So instead of taking the time to actually understand what that is, just slapping a word that you already know on it is not helpful. Again, I don't want to take too much time on it, but Unwanted Post said, why am I just noticing this? They have a Harambe statue in the room. So is that what it is? I saw it and I didn't put it together. Good eye. Nick says, because you learned from that, because you learned from that, I can't even laugh at you for it. I can only have respect for you for being willing to acknowledge what you feel was a mistake. Respect, brother. Thank you. I very, very much appreciate that.
You have two islands. You have two people. Let's say a ship crashes, and you have two people who swim to two different islands.
Yup.
And one island, they're atheists, savages, and they rip you apart. And the other island, you get there, and they believe in God, and they believe they're not allowed to kill you. Even just their idea of God. God saved your life.
Okay, but we realize how that's a false dichotomy. It's not either you believe in God or you're a savage. But, they keep pushing that, and that's why people who can't believe in God turn into leftists. So keep going with that rhetoric.
So I think even just the concept of God in and of itself, if enough people
I already said yes.
believe in it makes them do good, then God must be true. And that's the equal and opposite force to the evil of the world. And this is how I view it. So I don't see how anybody with a conscience cannot believe in God anymore.
That's such a profoundly different worldview from the one that we're presented with, I think. Yeah. Do you think that's maybe the division in the West between people who see those forces at work and those who don't?
Yes, that is the difference. Except the problem is that we are not able to see those forces because you keep calling it the same word that people don't like. People who are atheists want that hierarchical structure. They just don't. If it's not there, then they're just going to fall into hedonism. But again, keep saying God is the only way. Keep saying it, and it's definitely going to get more people on your side. JH said, "Atheist is cannibals. Look out! Atheists are cannibals. Look out for lunch." Yep, we gonna eat your baby.
I think the West is actually split between people who think and people who don't think at all. I think the people there's no such thing as
wait. So then why aren't those the two islands? The people who think and the people who don't think. You see how it falls apart with the very next sentence that falls out of his mouth.
Opposing worldviews. I think people believe there's worldview A and worldview B. I disagree with that. I think there's worldview A, the good guys, which are primarily people who do believe in God, do have parameters, do believe in...
How many islands did he say? He said 2 islands, right? And then now he's saying, well, people think it's just black and white. It's this or that. It's way more than that. Yeah, bro. That's why what you just said is bullshit.
Standards, do believe in self-respect, do know how to say no.
Yup.
And there's world...
And you don't need God for that, do you? Nope.
View B, which changes day by day, based on what they're told, which means they have no real worldview at all.
Exactly. And people who believe in God can fall into that, can't they? So it really has nothing to do with whether you believe in this specific God. It really has to do with, do you have the values that align with that happen to appear in your religion? Do my values align with your values? This is why that false dichotomy of God or bad is bad for everybody.
They just repeat.
Yes, you
and
did.
They have no
yes,
standards. They have no parameters. There's nothing you can tell them that will make them wake up and go, that's wrong, because they have no inherent morality. So you can literally, you can say bestiality is accepted and encouraged. Now it's good for you because for climate change.
Awanted Foe said, what are the other options of people are there other than people who think and people who don't think? I don't understand the foundation of the example. He's basically just saying the opposite of what he said before, is that there's godly people and there's bad people, which is not the case, because there are bad godly people, there are good godly people and bad godly people, and there's good secular people and bad secular people. What he's saying is that there's people who just go along with the crowd and the narrative. That's the woke mob. And the woke mob and the default liberals who just like, oh, I think this is what we're supposed to think. And then the rest of us, who, even though some of you are Christian, some of you are atheists, some of you, would have never voted for Hillary Clinton, whatever it is, we all think about this stuff in a way that is, progressive in a good way, that progresses our country, not the capital P progressive way. I don't disagree. More often than not, godless folks are heathens. Exactly. This is precisely why we need an American moral structure so that this doesn't happen. This is what I keep telling you. But you guys just want to play teams. God is good. Atheist is bad. If you want to think that simple-minded and you want to think that black and white, go on ahead. But I'm telling you, the world is more complicated than that. And I don't know how else to tell you that. My media said there are people with tons of gods throughout history that are heathens.
Bingo.
Yeah, the Aztecs definitely ate people, and I'm pretty sure they had a sun god. But I guess you would say, well, they have the wrong god, and I have the right god. But you know how?
And they'll sit there and go, oh, for climate change, well, off we go. And they'll just do it. So I think you have a camp of people who think, and you have a camp of people who repeat.
Exactly. Not a camp of good people who because they believe, and a group of bad people because they don't believe. We were just saying how articulate you are, but you debunked your own argument in the next sentence that fell out of your mouth.
And I don't think there's actually the
That's why I said
opposing side to the good. I don't think function as a thinking populace.
Oh, wait, you said it before I did. Yeah, there we go. Exactly.
At all. I think they simply repeat.
It feels like the conflict between those two groups is getting more intense.
It's certainly getting more intense. And
because anybody, it's one of the two, because of dogma. Because you can't tell people who believe in God that they are wrong. You can't tell people that they believe that a man can transform into a female. You can't tell them that they're wrong. That is why it's getting more intense, because you are all not you specifically, but people are too dogmatic. Consider for a second that you may be wrong. Not that you are wrong, that you could be potentially wrong. That's it. That's it. Nick says, don't worry, I won't eat dirty Christian babies, only Hindu babies. They taste so much more free range. Good one. Oh, man, you guys are funny.
It was interesting for me because, and I want to be an optimist, but I lost so much faith in humanity during COVID.
Yup.
If you would have told me how COVID would have gone down before COVID, I'd say no way.
I definitely would have believed it. Being one of the people who voted for Hillary, I definitely would have believed it, because I'm not stupid. I was ignorant as all hell, but I'm not stupid. But if they can get me, they can get a lot of other people. I'm not saying I'm super, super, super smart either. I'm just saying I'm not a dumbass, and they got me.
We're not that bad. I thought the people aren't that dumb. But when I experienced COVID,
Yes, because this is your dogmatic view. I understand this is what you think, and you will never think anything differently because you adhere to this dogmatically. That's the point.
It's actually scary. You see how the Nazis managed to do what they did. You see how they managed to put people in concentration camps. You see it. And I had a very unique view of COVID, because in the first days of COVID, when people were falling over in China and the Italian hospitals were overrun, at the height of the panic, when most people believed, because it was the very beginning, early stages.
And I'm not going to keep doing this, but you're bringing up a good point. And I see the depravity and see the just godless heathens that are pushing it. Correlation is not causation. It's not because they are atheists. It's because they don't have a moral system. Christianity is not the only moral system. It's a pretty damn good one, but it's not the only one. And so if you tell people that they have to believe in something that they physically cannot believe in, then what do you expect? What do you expect? It's because of people like you who look down on people for what they do and don't believe, and don't give them the opportunity to think that maybe you could even change their minds if you were smart enough and capable enough, but you just look down. Exactly.
My brother and I had a very logical conversation and said, we're two military-age men in very good physical condition. If we die of this, the world's over. If it can kill us, it's zombie apocalypse.
See what I mean?
So why are we going to live in fear? So we found the only two countries that were open, which were Sweden and Belarus. We had just been to Belarus. This is before the Ukraine war. We'd just been there. We decided to try Sweden. So for the first 3 months of COVID, during the height of lockdowns, when Florida was closed, when it was absolute,
I remember.
Yeah, when it was the craziest lockdowns globally, me and Tristan are in Sweden in absolute freedom. They had no restrictions, no masks, no vaccine passports, no social distancing. Nightclubs are full.
Shout out to Sweden.
Restaurants are open. Perfectly complete normal society. Nobody talks about this anymore. Nobody talks about, wait, Sweden never did a thing. Everything functioned perfectly fine the entire time. And they don't have it. Where's their mass? Where's their illness of their winter of severe illness and death?
Yes.
They never had one.
Nope.
It's a cold country. Never had one. So we were living in Sweden, living completely normal lives, seeing the internet and seeing this insanity. And we're like, well, surely if we just put up a few videos of us partying in Sweden in nightclubs, this will wake people up. People ignored their own eyes.
I think he was about to say people didn't want to wake up. Said people didn't want, and then people ignored their own eyes. That is exactly what is about to come out of my mouth. People didn't want to wake up. They don't want to.
That's the scariest thing about everything, is that they can get to a level where, with the media machine, where people will genuinely ignore their own eyes. I don't understand how you can get people so brainwashed that they will see that the sky is blue, and then they'll watch that the sky is green, and then they'll look at it again and go, the sky's green.
Because they don't think it's green, the same way that they know what a woman is. They know that they have to be part of the club. And if they say the wrong thing, you're out of the club. It's a cult, and that's all. They don't actually think the sky is green. They don't actually think Dylan Mulvaney is a woman. They just know that if they say otherwise, then they're going to be evil right-wingers.
It's crazy to me, but COVID proves they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the war is getting so intense, because the principled people are saying, how can you still believe in the things that you're saying? Here is all the logical, empirical evidence that is a lie.
But they're dogmatic, so it doesn't matter.
But these people are ideologically brainwashed, and they don't want to take enough. They don't have the bravery it takes to wake up and accept that they're being lied to. So they'd rather just, to the end of time, repeat what they're told. And it becomes more and more intense as it becomes more and more ridiculous. That's so scary. As it becomes more and more ridiculous, the more intense both sides get.
Yes.
Right? So what the future holds, I'm not entirely sure. But I like to believe, even my current charges, I found solace when I was in jail, that the thinking people are looking at this going, something about this doesn't seem right.
Well, I mean, it is a little bracing. I mean, when I discovered, I was sympathetic to you already. But, a man's accused of human trafficking. It's worth finding out what he's accused of. And when I discovered that there was no actual human trafficking charge, that's not actually human trafficking. I don't care what you call it.
Yep.
You weren't buying it, even accused of buying and selling anyone. Then the next conclusion you inevitably reach is,
why?
They don't like the guy. They don't like his views. It's fine. They're going to send him to jail for that.
Yeah.
That does seem like an escalation.
Absolutely. But if they don't like your views and you're inspiring millions of people to resist slavery.
Dogma. They believe in good things, so they're good. Even they're raping children. They're good. They're good.
Programming, you become a threat. Like, they discuss me.
But you can't.
I forgot to say, no. They're good despite the fact that they're raping children, because they believe what I believe. That is, either side, both sides, both of the ideologically captured on either side think they are so correct and can't be wrong that they have the justification to just accept that. Simple as that. I know everything. I've got the right answer. Simple as that.
Send a guy to jail because you disagree with him.
You shouldn't. But even before I went to jail, the members of parliament in the UK were talking about me and what a dangerous role model I am for young boys. So they launched this initiative inside of British schools to ban me. My name can't be said inside of any British school. And members of parliament were standing up in parliament saying, Andrew Tate is dangerous. He's encouraging young boys to have misogynistic views, because I'm literally telling young men to go to the gym and to stand up for themselves and
ideas, not people.
Believe in themselves and believe in something. And by extension, you look at some of the sexual education books these children are being given, which I believe at age 9, I don't think a child needs to learn about anal sex or any of these things.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. So they're pushing that to the children, but I'm banned.
Well, they're also pushing weed and video games on boys.
Oh, completely.
What?
And you can listen to rap music about killing people all day long. And there's a whole, and
wait, could somebody, I'm not a gamer. Can somebody fill me in on they're pushing weed on kids in video games? What is that all about? Shout out to Per Usual. Oh man, he's back from the dead. Welcome to the party. Is that Tucker Carlson? No, that's Tucker Carlson. But indeed, he is great. Welcome to the party.
Little Nas, he can have sex with the devil in his music videos. That's fine. But I'm dangerous for saying go to the gym. And once I realized what was scary to me is, I said this to my brother. I said, once the parliament's discussing you, you're basically considered a national security threat at this point. You're a threat to national security at that level. And then all bets are off, right?
What about the UK? So the UK has become more authoritarian than anywhere in the Persian Gulf.
Correct.
How did that happen?
Yeah. And it's, like I said, it's very interesting because people still, the people in Camp B who don't think, a lot of them.
So Nick says, no one talks about how some, not all religious people, are trying to avoid punishment of hell or earn the reward of heaven.
Bingo.
Or both. Just saying how we are to know what your motivation is. They don't need to tell us because they know. Simple as that. They know. They already have the answers. Simple as that. I'm just messing with you, brother. Glad to see you, brother. It's been a while. Good to see you, man.
Believe that.
Let's back this up a little bit.
How did that happen?
Yeah. And it's, like I said, it's very interesting because people still, the people in Camp B who don't think, a lot of them believe that the law is fair. I've had people say to me, oh yeah, what they're doing to you is garbage. Well, you need a lawyer. So yeah, I do need a lawyer and I do have a lawyer. Thank you. But it's not that simple, unfortunately. You know, the law is very subjective. And if they want to attack you with it, they're going to do a very good job of attacking you with it. And that's what the UK does. The UK have these laws which are extremely subjective, and they can use it as a weapon to basically silence anyone they decide.
Kind of like language that they use and make up. That's very subjective, that they can use as a weapon, otherwise known in my world as semantic obfuscation. It took us 1 hour and 11 minutes, and we got both of the two top and maybe only reasons that political discourse has fallen to nothing in this country: dogmatic thinking and semantic obfuscation. Everything boils down to that.
Why? I mean,
And I'd be happy to be proven wrong.
I mean, England is the birthplace of free speech, of habeas corpus, of kind of framework of liberal democracy that we thought we believed in.
Yeah.
And now it's a country where
No, subjective just means from the subject, not the object.
people are arrested for praying.
Well,
what happened?
good question. And there's a saying that I heard, and I don't know who said it, but he said that a sick country adopts laws like a dying man will try medicine.
Ooh. A sick country will adopt laws. What was it? Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, a sick country. Come on.
Country adopts laws like a dying man will try medicine.
That's a good one. Yes, JH, they don't have free speech in the, like we have the First Amendment, but the concept of free speech that the founding fathers used to put in the Constitution was from habeas corpus, which was very popular or prevalent in British society at the time. So they don't have a law the way we do, which they should have, because they're way worse than we are with the woke stuff now. But it did come from that mentality.
And I think that the UK is failing in real time. If you look at it in any metric, whether it's...
No, he wasn't saying that. He was saying the way they are being used is BS because of the wording. It may be BS, but that's not what subjective means.
Living standards, whether it's crime rate, any metric you can measure the success of a country by, it's fallen off the cliff. It's becoming more and more expensive to live there. The education system's gone down the pan.
Wait, is he talking? Oh,
London.
I wasn't sure if he was talking about
London is
US
the stabbing capital of the world. You're not safe to leave your house. So their answer to this is just more and more and more laws. And unfortunately, as they do that, they're not even intelligent enough to actually attack the people who are doing genuinely bad to the world. They just make more and more authoritarian laws, and they end up using them to attack the people that the government doesn't like. And I ended up being one of them. And I think Europe in general has problems. If you look at France as we speak, I think it's on fire, isn't it? Most of it?
It is.
Yeah. So they have issues, and their answer, what's a government's solution to anything? Law. What can a government do? No matter what.
But they're not laws that are aimed at fixing the problem that's right in front of them.
They're laws aimed at fixing the person who's talking about the problem.
Based. And if you guys are enjoying this, you will definitely find a home at the Indian Jesus Discord server, where the party never ends. That's right, 24/7. We are in there hanging out, playing games, talking about stuff, doing whatever. And after every single live stream, you go in there for the after panel, where you are not stuck behind your keyboard, but you are actually on screen with me and everybody else. You can cam up if you want to. You don't have to. Either way, it is a grand old time. Come and join us.
So why don't you get rid of the guy who tells everybody? Isn't that easier? Tucker? Why fix any of this? If we just shut him up, they won't know.
No, but that's like responding to a heat wave by breaking your thermometer.
Completely right. That's the plan.
Insane.
Plan one is to break the thermometer. We might deal with the heat wave a bit later. But
get air conditioning. No, let's break the thermometer.
For now, there's too many people talking about the heat wave. So let's just break that. And then later on, maybe when we have time, we'll do something about the actual issue.
That's a really good analogy. That's a really good analogy. It's like we're experiencing a heat wave, and instead of turning on the air conditioning, the leftist idea is, well, let's just break the thermometer.
What?
Come on. Hey, shout out to the free ego. Welcome to the party. Good to see you, brother. Nick says they also were coming from a country where you certainly could be executed for speaking insultingly toward the king. So free speech means something to them. Yeah, let's not forget that the people who came over on the Mayflower were English people. It was more about the religious freedom, but freedom of speech was a very big a part of that. And it's not like they invented the idea of free speech. They're just the first ones. It's like, no. This idea of habeas corpus, that's fundamental to this new country that we're going to build.
It does seem like a lot of this is an effort not to talk about the real thing in Europe anyway, which is migration.
Yep.
And the UK, formerly known as England, and France have both been completely changed by people from other countries.
Yep.
Good luck with that, bro. Glad you are here.
And I'm sure have added good things too. I mean, I'm not, but they changed them. And in general, they're not better countries. And why can't anyone admit that?
But this is what's
because that's some level of inequality. To say you're a superior is bad, unless you're a woman or a minority or a gay or a trans.
really interesting to me about what's happening, because we're talking about masculinity and men who say no and men who stand up. But there has to be balance, right? Yeah. Everywhere in the world, there has to be power balances. If there's not a balance in power, there's going to be a vacuum, and that's going to be filled. If you neuter the native population of men, if you destroy their mentality to resist, if you tell them that every single thing about them masculine is wrong, and you basically feminize and unicate them.
Which is what they've done.
Turn them into eunuchs. And then you import high testosterone men from the third world who don't believe any of this garbage, who grew up in a society where they understand the only way to succeed is to be a fearsome predator to a degree.
That's a good point too. I didn't think about the comparison of a masculine or masculinity coming from other countries, people who are coming here with that mentality, and then seeing the American feminized man, if you can say that. Per usual says, I said trans before you said it when I was naming things with you. Yeah, I mean, go down the list. We all know who gets special treatment, and we all know who doesn't.
What do you think is going to happen? Like, who's supposed to protect the sanctity of these nations and these settlements and these towns and villages?
Well, the American government, of course. Who else would it be? There's a problem in the world. It has to be for the American government. Where else would we get any type of authority or anything else, right? The American government. No. Hey, shout out to Indie Film. He's not scared, so I should be able to get him up here. Morty, come get a treat. Come get a treat. Look. Come on, get a treat. Oh, it's summer. I got to do something. I don't know what is going on. I gave him a CBD chew. He might actually be upstairs sleeping. But thank you so much. Leaving this right here for him. Every single super chat, Cash App, PayPal comes with a treat for Morty that I promise you he will get. Usually he's in the chair right with white method. But I appreciate you. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream.
Police? No. In general, I would argue that it's the masculine essence that can be detected by the people who arrive. Yep. I guarantee if you were to put a bunch of these migrants in Sarajevo or Moscow, they behave themselves.
Oh, but
yeah.
I just you guys gotta just answer, because the poll is not letting me end. So dress shoes without socks, good or bad? Just give me a G or a B, good or bad?
I have a feeling
the sponsor of the stream.
They just look around and go, not today. But when you neuter the native populace, then it's like, well, there's a power vacuum. And when there's a power vacuum, what do we expect to happen? So that's
what are the French going to do about it? What's your average Englishman going to do about it?
Nothing. And that's the thing. And that makes you wonder, is this purposeful? Like, why these two actions of neutering the native populace and importing these high testosterone third worlders?
It looks like we all agree that socks without shoes is bad. But if you're top G, you could do whatever you want, right? Even if it's haram. Producer says, I don't know. I dress like a caveman, so no answer for me. Fair enough. It's not a good look. But I also am not a fan of dress socks. So even if I'm wearing dress shoes, I'm still wearing, my short little black cane socks that I always wear. Daniel getting in on it said, hell no. Producer saying he don't even wear shoes. But yeah, I don't like the way that dress socks, like, because I don't know, I'm Indian, so I got hairy ass legs. So those socks, you pull them up and they're like ripping the hairs out of your leg. I'm like, you know what? I'm good with just regular socks. But doing it without socks, nah. But hey, I guess when you're a top G,
are so at odds with each other. Is this purposeful? I'm not sure, but has anyone considered this?
Yup.
So yeah, it's interesting because you talk about
these are huge and intentional trends, and so and I mean they're historically transformative trends. They're a big deal, so they're probably not happening by accident, right? There's got to be some intent. How could there not be?
That's right. And how do they expect all of this to end? And this is exactly what's happening with migration. The problem with migration specifically is that there's no native masculine populace to enforce any degree of culture or boundary or parameter. And like I said, I would argue the point, and I've been to Sarajevo and I've been to Moscow, I've been to these places, and I've seen there's a whole bunch of migration and everybody seems to just behave a little bit differently. And I think that's because people understand
that men live here.
That men live here.
Yeah, shout out to you guys. Usually I don't get an answer. Usually Melty's the only one, but I appreciate the answer for my poll being down. Thank you.
If you turn up in someone's house and their house is pristine, you're probably going to take your cup and you're going to go put it in the kitchen. But if you turn up in somebody's house and it's a fucking mess and nobody respects the house and nobody cares and the man is drugged out of his mind, half asleep on the couch.
Been there.
What are you going to do with your cup? You're going to leave it there. You don't give a shit. If you turn up to the Western world and look at it,
then you're going to hit on his wife.
Absolutely. So what do we expect to happen in these scenarios, right? And it is purposeful and it is scary that even me just telling men to go to the gym is seen as an act of defiance to the point where I have to be punished. I must go to jail. I must be silenced. Thermometer must be broken.
The thermometer must be broken.
At the end of all of this, no matter what happens, do you plan to stay in Romania?
I love Romania.
Yes already, right?
I love this country. And if I am found not guilty, I will stay in Romania, yeah. I will still stay here.
What do you guys think of that? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that's like, why would you want to stay in a country that's treating you this way? I mean, it must, outside of the legal system, he must really enjoy, other aspects about it, but he really doesn't say anything that specific. He says it's nice, the people are nice, nature, all that stuff. You can get that anywhere. I would want to be out of there ASAP.
I don't believe in running away. I also believe, and perhaps this is...
Yeah, I didn't even want to ask you that because you've got a legal case pending, but I mean, presumably you're rich enough to run away when you haven't.
Correct. I'm not going anywhere. I think if I was anywhere in the Western world, this would happen to me. I don't think...
Good call, Monfo. That's exactly what he just said. Good call.
This is Romania's fault. Let's put it that way. I don't think this is Romania's fault. I think if I resided in Switzerland or France or Italy, the same thing would happen. From knowing what I know. I think it was going to happen to me regardless. And
shout out to all three of you getting that right as he said it. Right as he said it.
I think I do have a large amount of sympathy, especially amongst the Romanian population. I get thousands of messages a day from Romanians apologizing to me. I think the people here actually like me.
My waiter at lunch yesterday is one of them.
He wanted you to know. Oh, amazing. This is what I mean.
That's awesome. Imagine being a Romanian waiter. And you're like, is that Tucker Carlson? It's like, yeah, I'm going to talk to Andrew Tate. I'm like, oh, I just emailed him. Can you let him know that we don't ride for the government like that? Yeah, top G from North Korea. That would go a lot better, right? Melted My Media said, but I'm a hypocrite. Why do I stay in the U.S. as it treats us like ish? Because despite how they treat us, it is better than anywhere else on the whole, at least. There's definitely going to be areas in different countries, but Find a better country. Find a better country than the U.S. I dare you.
Everyone understands what's happening. My problem is not with Romania. I don't hold any personal grudges against Romania. I think that this Matrix attack was going to come to me. Basically.
What is the Matrix?
Good question. I guess some Americans call it the deep state, but I like to look at it in a more global way. When I say the Matrix, I think there are certain agendas which are being pushed. I think the media machine and the judicial systems of the world work together hand in hand. I think the goal is to control people's minds to a point where they don't discuss anything that's important. The reason I use The Matrix is because I've watched that movie a few times and it has so many similarities to the... Have you seen the movie?
No.
You've never seen...
How have you never seen The Matrix?
The movie The Matrix?
No, I don't watch any movies. I don't want to talk about it on camera. No, I'm very dyslexic and it's hard for me to watch video.
Got it.
Honestly.
Understood. But there's so many similarities, and the basic premise is that humans' minds are controlled and put inside of a false reality so that their body heat can be manifested for the machines. And I don't think it's much different to reality. Our minds are controlled. We're put in a false version of reality. We're told things aren't true. We're arguing over things that don't matter. We're observing a false version of events. And the goal of it is just to distract us long enough for our bodies to be used for the machines, to soul us. And I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah, I forget exactly who it was. It's not like a super unique idea, but that in the same way that, like, if we think about the planet as, you know, like an organism within itself, then there is at least some reason to believe that it's sensical, that the natural progression of humans is simply to bring about the singularity with like the internet and all that stuff. I'm not saying I think that is what humans are for or anything. I'm just saying it makes a lot of sense that if you don't have a religious belief or anything, that makes sense. Meltamine Media said, Lil St. James is an island I'm looking to buy soon. The guy who owned it self-deleted. Well, I better get an invitation. If it goes down, that is where the 10K party is. Little St. James. Unwanted Foe said, WTF Tuck didn't properly research this interview. What do you mean you haven't seen The Matrix? When that's such a big slogan of Tate's. I mean, I agree, but that's a nice little that'll make a beautiful short on YouTube, a beautiful TikTok, a beautiful Instagram reel. No, what is The Matrix? Like, come on. These people know what they are doing.
Pretty similar, striking similarities. And even then, there's a bunch of other similarities which are difficult for me to explain. You haven't watched the movie, but there are agents inside.
But also, yeah, come on, bro, watch The Matrix.
Of The Matrix, and the idea of the agent, the purpose of the agent is to make sure that nobody understands how the Matrix really works and to wake anybody's mind up. They want to keep you asleep. And any person can become an agent at any time.
Let's see if anybody knows that.
If they're not unplugged, if their mind is not free, they can become an agent, and their job is to keep you asleep. And you see agents all the time. COVID awoken me to agents. When I would sit and talk to somebody and they seemed perfectly rational and normal until I mentioned COVID, and then they'd fully change. No, it's dangerous. No, what do you mean? What do you mean? Are you crazy? My grandma got sick. And they became an agent instantly and started repeating the news to me. And I was like, your grandma got sick. How old is she? 97? Interesting. Oh, I better lock myself in my house then. Dumbass. So agents exist and the Matrix exists. And I think most people's version of the world is a false one.
Mm. So let me ask you guys a question. Again, I wish I could make this a poll, but for whatever reason, it's not letting me end this one. We are at, the original question. Do you think you will spend more time in jail or prison? We're at 60%. Do you guys even see it anymore? Because we haven't gotten anyway. What do you think it would like? How the fact that he talks about the Matrix all the time is a little bit cringe because it is like just a movie. But what if it wasn't, and he was just explaining like the things that are actually happening that are similar to what happened in the Matrix? That'd be yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know why it's not letting me end it. It's annoying as hell. I put it up here, end poll. It goes away, and then it just doesn't do anything. Try to go there, pops back up, end poll, nothing. I don't know. But luckily, you guys are awesome and are answering my questions in here. But yeah, like what do you think it would be as cringe for him to be talking about these things if it wasn't like exactly, oh, it's just like the movie. It's just like the movie. It's just like the movie. If he was just saying these things, I feel like that would be mind blowing. Because like think about the first time that you actually watched The Matrix. The movie's from 99, I think. And so, like these tech sci-fi movies weren't really there yet. We didn't have enough of an understanding of where technology was going to really have these massive blockbuster things that could hit on realistic things. I'm not saying there wasn't good science fiction out there. I'm just, not a science fiction guy, so I don't know. But that, everybody knows The Matrix. That's why we're all like, what? You didn't see The Matrix? But yeah, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. Okay. So per usual said he thinks he might go back to jail. Fair enough. Because so the reason I think is mostly due to the fact that Tate is too far well known for them to memory hole him. Yep. He's got too many people who are speaking for him, as well as he is very good at playing the role that he is, that they want to try to break him. I think you're right about that.
Idea and the world that most people have in their mind and how society functions and how all these things function, I genuinely believe is completely false. I think they've all been lied to. I don't think anybody understands how any of the world works.
But they're brainwashed, remember?
And I try and use some very simple, very simple analogies to wake people up. Mm-hmm. I said to one of my friends once, I said, if me and you could play video games for $10,000 and you could cheat, would you cheat?
Yup.
He goes, well, no. I was like, if I was whooping your ass and it was 10 grand a game and you could cheat, would you cheat? He goes, yeah. I was like, all right. So you accept that people cheat to win in a video game for a menial amount
Why wouldn't
of
it
money?
be in life?
You think they're not going to cheat for something that matters? Yeah. I think.
Facts. Daniel says he's not wrong. It's a standard thought practices of psychology and psychiatry. Your perception of the world is your own. Your perception of the world is your own reality. Is just the pieces we share. Your perception of the world is your own. Reality is just reality is just the pieces we share. I mean, I do believe that there is an objective based reality. I don't know that we live in it. I don't know that we would have any way to determine whether or not that's true. That's kind of just where I'm coming from. But yeah, I mean, I guess I agree with that. The pieces that we share. I like that. It took me a second, but I got there. I like that. Unwanted Foe said he's built up to be a powerful martyr if he gets Clinton. Well said. Yep. And that's why he keeps saying, I'm not going to self-delete. That's exactly why he's saying it. Preacher said, I don't want to answer because I don't know if he's guilty or not. Well, that's the point of the question. None of us know. If we knew, it wouldn't be much of a fun question now, would it? Good save. You're
not going to cheat for something important? You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
how about to get the most important job in the world, President of the United States?
I would never kill myself.
I mean, people kill each other over insurance fraud. You don't think, right? Yeah.
So when you actually understand how the world really works, what was really interesting? I remember there was this big military coup was it Myanmar or Burma? One of these, there was a big military coup like a year ago or something. And nobody really cared. They mentioned it on the news a little bit. And I looked at it, I looked into it, and they were talking about how the two political parties were almost 50-50, and then in the 90s, something changed, and now one political party just smokes the other one, and the military took over to restore democracy and all this stuff. It was very interesting, the voting machines they used. Really interesting.
Something to look into. Yeah, JH says, unless there's new evidence, he is guilty, but I'll wait and not buy into everything said. Guilty from the videos I've seen him talking about his cam girls.
Bingo!
Yeah, I mean, he's not an innocent man. He's not an innocent man, unless he was lying in those videos. But is he a sex trafficker? That's a very different question. As he said in the very beginning, if I was here for financial crimes, then nobody would care. I really think that's all they're going to get him on some BS fraud charge, and then that's it. He's talking about the fact that he specifically said they are stupid. You can tell them that they have to pay extra in taxes, and they will give it to you. That is illegal. That is stealing. That is fraud.
A lot of countries like that. Philippines, also true. Why do you think support for the war in Ukraine, support for Ukraine's side in the war against Russia, support for a war against Russia in the West, is kind of the the bottom line issue for the people who run the U.S. government and for the American media. Why? I mean, I guess you could
World War III, maybe?
argue about it,
Yep.
but there isn't an argument about it in the United States. There's a position, and anyone who doesn't hold it is attacked and punished. Why? Why is that so important?
Well, the first thing I think we should all do is I think we should all give Putin credit for curing COVID, right? Because when his invasion happened, COVID went away.
So thought about that.
Think about it. It's almost to the day. So we have to give him some credit at least for doing that.
Thank
he
you,
may be the
Putin.
bad guy of the world, but at least he cured COVID for everybody nearly instantly.
Fair.
Thank you, President Putin. Yeah, I up until this point never really commented too heavily on politics.
Yes.
But I understand very well, I like to believe what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. And what I will say to the people who are watching this at home is that if you are naive enough to believe that there are good guys and bad guys in wars, and it's as simple as good and bad, and that the bad guys are crazy, and the good guys want freedom, then you need to do a little bit more investigation into what's really happening. And when you look at the vested interest of any country or any person.
Can I just ask you to pause and just comment? That's the truest thing, what you just said. That is and anyone who doesn't understand that should shut the fuck up.
Shut up!
Nick says maybe he overuses it, but I don't think it's that dissimilar to referring to a book like 1984. Absolutely right. And I guarantee you, I would bet money that the reason that he uses The Matrix and not 1984 is because most of the people who listen to him are younger, and they are way more likely to be able to have seen The Matrix or just be able to just go watch it than pick up a book and read the whole thing, which is sad. And I think, it is, and not him overusing it. We all overuse it because it's that accurate. Both 1984 and The Matrix. But if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Daniel said they're going to get him like they did Capone on taxes. That's what I think is going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't know if that means that he's going to spend any more time behind bars, but I do think that's what's going to happen.
And I mean it, having seen war. Anyone who's telling you that it's Churchill versus Hitler is an idiot.
Well, I'll give you an example. When my father was still alive,
Excuse me.
Yeah, no, it's true. When my father was still alive, my father died 6 or 7 years ago. I was a lot younger. The war in Afghanistan was going
He
on.
died 6 or 7 years ago. How old was he?
56.
Oh, gosh.
Damn. Wait, how old is he? Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. Frigo says the only difference is that Capone's taxes took years to come to light. Inefficient as FBI. Well, I mean, a corrupt government can go either way. They can cut through all the red tape and get him on whatever they want. Well, I mean, maybe I guess not whatever they want, or maybe whatever they want. But that's the give and take. That's the pros and cons of the American deep state. Is that it is super inefficient, but unless you storm the Capitol, then there's not a lot that they can do. They can't just hold you. I mean, obviously there's exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, you're not just going to get scooped up by the FBI unless you've actually done something. Unwanted Foe said, unlike Capone, though, they need a big flashy crime. Some small financial crime doesn't have nearly the impact. At this point, I don't think they care. I think anything to say, Andrew Tate guilty, that anything they can do, Andrew Tate guilty, that is going to get all of the clicks in the world. Jay said he's literally talked about bringing girls to Romania and getting them to Cam and ripping them off. But it's all good because he makes them a lot of money. Not every girl has come forward to support Tate. Yeah, and I mean, well, I don't know of any specific girl besides the Sophie one that was anonymous that specifically said, yes, he did this. But yeah, again, even if you don't think that the lover boy method, getting somebody to fall in love with you and with your express purpose of having them do sex work, even if you don't think that should be illegal, it is against the law. That's what we're dealing with. What is the law? Not what do we think is moral? What do we think is right? What should be, shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's not what we're talking about. Oba said, I think he will flee to a country with no extradition first chance. Maybe Russia. That would be my move. Maybe, I don't know Russia specifically, but he did just say, thank you, Putin. So maybe. Jade said they have witnesses, but again, waiting for the trial to believe it all, as we all should. It's all fun to speculate and to, have fun looking at the conversation between two juggernauts of media. But JH is on point. We should all be waiting for the trial to believe whatever they say. Daniel says, but he already is technically in jail. He said himself house arrest. Correct. But the question was again. And I said jail or prison. I think about this stuff. It's not, I don't just throw out random questions, guys. I think about this stuff. He's still serving time. Yeah, he's still serving time, but he's not in a jail or prison. The Free Ego said the witnesses they tried to push at first literally supported Tate. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's people coming out speaking against him. We know the one anonymous one, or maybe it's two anonymous ones. But you would think that if he's been doing this for years, that it would be a little easier to find somebody. Just saying. Indie Film says the FBI, the cause and solution to the country's domestic terrorism. Domestic terrorism. The only real domestic terrorism is Antifa. Like, there might be, little things here and there, but what was it? It wasn't Gretchen Whitmore. It was Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Or they kidnapped her, and that was just like all feds. Like, come on, bro. Melody says, okay, he probably scammed some chicks, but he wasn't pimping them out. But he was, though. Again, you may be of my opinion that the Loverboy method should not be illegal, that there is morally nothing wrong with it, but it is against the law. That is what the law is.
But the war in Afghanistan was going on. And I remember asking my dad, saying, why do the Taliban even fight and resist the American war machine? They don't stand a chance. Like,
sounds like a liberal saying, well, oh, you think you can take on the American government? They have nukes.
Why are these terrorists even fighting against the American war machine? And my dad said, they're fighting for their way of life. They want their wife, and they want their children, and they want their society and their language, and they don't want pride flags, and they don't want American bullshit, and they don't want to be told what to do. And they're fighting to be a culture and be a people which is independent in and of itself. Like, they're not the bad guys you think they are. They're people who are like, why are you here? What do you want? We don't agree with that. That's against our holy book. Fuck off.
And I think that holy book is stupid and evil. But I can respect the aspect of it that he's talking about. Because we don't have that in this country anymore. Because everybody has either been shoved into the box of government all good or nothing good but God. You can keep saying I'm wrong, but show me the evidence. With Whitmore, federal agents ended up arresting other feds. Andy says, you're right. Yep, it was governor of Michigan, and something like 12 out of the 14 terrorists involved in the kidnap were government people. Stupid. I mean, why? That's all our money. Our money. Are you rich? I'm not rich. But they're taking our money to literally make the Spider-Man meme. Nick says, well, not to say it's right. I don't think it is. But it wouldn't even seem bad if he was part of Hollywood. Good point. Good point. That's, I mean, how is that any different than, getting someone to film an R-rated movie where there's a sex scene in it? How is that different? What is the difference? Selling you the dream of Hollywood. I'm a director, baby. If you're my girlfriend, I can get you into movies. Now, okay, if you're going to the level of Weinstein, obviously,
haram.
But that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about being nice, being articulate, being charming, and grown adults making choices for their own lives. Maybe under false pretenses, but hey, buyer beware. Daniel says that feels a lot like a difference without a distinction. I mean, sure, I'm more comfy in bed and it's easier to change the channel. Better food, you can still do shit. Huh? That feels a lot like what's a difference without a distinction? I think I'm missing it. Opus says, in the U.S., the domestic terrorists are bailed out by the government. Yep. And the people who are not domestic terrorists, the guy who was what's the word? Jesus, brain fart. Who was escorted around the Capitol by multiple officers. He's the domestic terrorist, right?
Right. So even there's no such thing as good and bad in any war. And people.
Who is your father?
My father was a chess master. He worked for the CIA when he was a linguist for the CIA.
Oh, shout out to St. Michael. Redemption for St. Michael. Oh, Melty, what do you got to say? Your fact-checking skills suck. He did work for the CIA. So apologies to St. Michael. You, sir, were correct, at least about Tate.
And then he was
American.
He was discharged, and for a story I won't tell. But he was a chess master, and he.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Daniel. You were talking about what I was saying. Gotcha. Okay. So, yeah. So that exactly. Yep. 100%. Thank you, Frigo, for helping me to understand that. Says that's actually true. Now that I think about it, what's the difference between what Tate did with the cam girls and talent agencies who relocate their up and comers to LA or Austin or New York? They're not saying what Andrew Tate is saying. That's the difference.
It's very interesting. I encourage people to look at his Twitter. He still has Twitter at Tate Terrific. And everything he was talking about 11 years ago is so important now. 11 years ago, no one cared about. We had the Donbass in 2014. People cared.
Yes.
People cared a bit. But he was literally, he predicted the future. You want to see how chess players can see the future?
All right. We've got Emory Tate, the father of Andrew Tate. So let's just go through some of these. This is from 2013. Perjury is a zero-sum game. Both can't win. He had the gun, or she lied to. No, that's something specific. So let's see. Just get something that he is saying, not a retweet. These are all retweets. Come on, man. People say I'm a vegetarian. No such thing. Human species better suited when. My 83-year-old mom pulls a stuck mower tractor out of mud and a pond. No motor to help her. Her reply: if I stop doing it, I won't be able to do it. Ninja. Okay. I mean, kind of pretty standard boomer thing or whatever. Meltemine Media said he served in the United States Air Force as a sergeant, where he excelled as a linguist. Excuse me. Tate learned Spanish through being an exchange student in Mexico. Wow, interesting. So right now he is under house arrest. So where this is taking place is in his home. He's not allowed to leave the compound, but he is at home. Indie Film says if you pay a woman to have sex with you, it's against the law in most places. But if you record it on camera, then you are good to go. Bingo! A little pro tip for you. Have you done that before, Indy? Have you done that before?
Read his Twitter. Everything from LGBTQ, why they need your kids because they can't have their own, to the war that's coming and how Europe's going to have an energy crisis, to the letter. It's all on his Twitter. It's amazing to read. It's like you could tell the future. 10 years ago, no one talked about any of this stuff.
Did he live in the U.S.?
Yes. Yeah, he lived in America.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's crazy. But he was telling me about a lot of this stuff even when I was a lot younger. And as we said, there's no good guys and bad guys. But when you have a vested...
Oh, sorry. Here's one. Where is it? The problem with modern dudes is that the problem with modern dudes from 2013 is that their main sex organ is the tongue. Have favorite position, head between thighs. I fail and now have 3 kids. What? All right. Gays, especially men, according to Tate, can't reproduce, so they need your children. Men will marry men to get tax breaks and government. Gay divorce will clog courts. That would be. I would be curious to see how true that is. 10 years later, that would be interesting. If somebody can get like a stat on that, that would be very interesting. Yeah, the same bullshit that you said. And actually, thank you for bringing it up again, because you kind of put me on the spot in a minute, and I didn't have a thought about it. And you were asking about how gay people expect the species to continue. You do realize that there are still straight people, even though there are gay people. for those of you who didn't see the debate between St. Michael and I, he was saying that gay people and trans people and heroin addicts are all the same group that want to steal your kids because there's no way for gay people to procreate. I don't know either. But it is up in full on my channel. I'll clip to hell on St. Michael's, but it is still up there. So Opus says, Yuri Bezmenov told us all this is going to happen in the 70s. Yep. Daniel says, as one who's been on house arrest, trust me, you're serving time. Oh, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying the wording of the poll was not about in custody. It was specifically about jail or prison. You don't have choices in what you do, where you go, how long you're out, whether you leave the country, you have fewer rights. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody is arguing that. I was just saying the specific wording that I used. Opus said, only discrepancy is his timeliness was about 20 years off.
Bingo!
I'm not doing this.
Interest in something.
You had your chance, and then you had to use words that would get me demonetized, so you lost your chance. Sorry.
That people are relatively simple. You're talking about why the American government has such a vested interest in this war,
which is not good for America.
Which is not good for America. So is it? Well, we can say it's.
Well, actually, I mean, yes, that is moving of the goalpost, but I just disagree with the premise that they care about the group itself existing. This is where the distinction between the activists and the people who are just living their lives come in. But you're too dense to understand that.
For money, or we can say it's for power. What else would it be for? What is it really for? Freedom and democracy? Well, I think that's already been destroyed by Zelensky, hasn't it? So yes. What is it for if it's not for money and power? And
absolutely nothing.
Then you say, well, who's the money and the power going to? These are logical conversations. It's a very logical thought process.
I agree.
You know, wouldn't it be interesting to say, okay, I woke up, I'm an American. I would never kill myself. I woke up, I'm an American. Why does America care? Well, I guess it's for money or power. There's no other reason. Okay, well, America wants to be a rich, powerful country. That's fine. Is the money and power going to America, or is it going to a select few individuals? Are those select individuals interested in me and my life? Do they care about benefiting me? Do I need to support the power grab of these select few individuals? Is that going to be a smart move for me to make?
Nope.
For me to have the best possible human experience?
Well, actually, it depends, because yes, it is going to have a significant effect on your life if America loses its quasi place as the world superpower. But other than that, it's not like you're going to have a material difference in your life. They do not care.
This is a very logical thought process.
Yes.
People don't seem to think anymore. They believe that there's a good guy and there's a bad guy, and
you mean like God and the devil?
One team's completely good and one team's completely bad. One team's crazy. They often use the word crazy because to be completely bad, you have to be crazy, right? So you're crazy. He's crazy just for no reason. Reasonless. It's insanity. I don't know if you saw Lukashenko with the BBC. Did you ever see that interview?
No.
Oh, brother. Please watch it.
Was that the one that we covered?
The way he destroys the BBC.
Oh, no.
I thought I did the best job, but I take second place.
Based.
Amazing. But yeah, and you just have to be critically thinking. And then after you're critically thinking, you have to be brave enough. And this is the real pandemic of the world, is cowardice. You have to be brave enough to look around you and realize, everything was a trick. Everything was a lie.
But why not be a coward? I mean, it's just a lot easier, right?
Well, it used to be. This is the thing that's interesting. I would actually argue in the 1950s and 60s, if you were to agree with every single narrative and obey every single law and do exactly what you were supposed to do and pay your taxes, etc., you'd at least get a wife who respected you. You'd at least have children who could go to school without being indoctrinated to a degree. Yeah. You could have a nice house. You could have a pickup truck. You could have a pretty good life if you just followed the rules.
Thanks, boomers.
Yes.
I don't think that's true anymore. I think that if you are a man, especially, and this is what I talk about masculine issues. If you're a man who was born and you decide to do exactly as you're told, you're going to end up depressed, in debt, working a job that you hate, with a wife who doesn't respect you, with kids who don't listen to you, in a house you don't own, until she leaves you, and then you contemplate suicide a while, and maybe you might find some purpose towards the end, enough to survive and pay your taxes, and then you're gone. I don't think a man who just follows the programming is going to find any happiness.
Nope.
But they don't care. Why would they? They have no interest in masculine happiness. This is another thing that's very interesting. They talk about men's mental health all the time, especially in the UK. I'm not sure about America, but in the UK, they had this big drive for men's mental health. Same.
Well, before he goes on, I forget what we were talking about. We were just talking about this idea of people being on OF and all that simping and stuff that I can definitely understand. If you've never been in a real relationship, if you've never experienced real, genuine love and desire, both physically and emotionally from a woman, I could totally see how you could be like, well, why would I? It's right here on my screen. I could totally see how you wouldn't understand that there's levels to this. And so I think so many young men today are in the same way with women. They don't have enough experience to see that the facsimile of life that they're getting on their phone is just that, a facsimile. It's not real life. And real life offers so much more, but they just don't have anything to compare it to. So they're just like, all right, I guess this is what it is.
And that men commit more suicides. Men
A lot more.
Because it's hard to be a man. We commit more suicides. We're more depressed. We have all these mental health problems. I come along. I genuinely get thousands of emails a day saying,
so put a 1 in the chat if you think I endlessly do damage control for the LGBT community.
and I'm helping people men's mental health. But no, can't help it the way Andrew wants. You can't tell him to go.
And actually, no, let's stick on that because, we're talking about dogma. We're talking about the problems, what people not thinking. You are not able to think outside of a binary. This good, that bad. You say gay person good. You think all gay people good. You think gayness should be everywhere. Dude. No, friend. It's just a little bit more complex. These people are a little bit more diverse intellectually and ideologically than you are giving them credit for. But because you are dogmatically in the idea that this is one group of people, including heroin addicts, I don't know how you make that connection. But I'm sorry, you are too simple to understand my point.
Go to the gym and stand up for themselves and have pride. What kind of man?
This is an echo chamber. We have atheists, we have liberals, we have Christians, we have everybody. Like, oh my God.
Man's going to have a solid mentality and not have mental health issues if he has no pride. It's part of being a man. Part of being a man is proud of yourself. If you wake up and you're not proud of who you are and how you look and the things you say, how are you ever going to have a solid mentality? So when I teach things that genuinely help men's mental health, that's outlawed. No, you're not allowed to do that. Instead, you have to take our version, which is to pretend to care about men's mental health, but not give a shit. Give them a life they know they're not going to enjoy. Pay taxes.
It's not about theology. Have I said the word theology in the last 1 hour, 57 minutes, and 26 seconds? You're just too dense, brother. It's not about theology. It's about dogmatic thinking. Do you understand the difference between the two, or are you conflating again? Do you think heroin addicts and LGBT people are the same thing? Because that seems to be your issue. Shout out to Elizabeth. Welcome to the party. Indeed, it is a party that you have walked into. We are going through the Andrew Tate and Tucker interview, but, St. Michael has a big mouth and can't really back it up. But personally, my morality, JH asks, where does my morality comes from? It comes from the understanding that I am a human and that other people are humans as well. And so likely the things that I want are going to be reflected in what they want. And so from a very selfish perspective, even if you have it, you can get to pure altruism without dogmatic thinking, without, saying that a man can transform into a female, without saying that God is whatever. That's where my morality comes from. The understanding that people are essentially people, that we all just want to be happy, safe, and just chill. We just want to live our lives.
And die. And men are the backbone.
Medicate them.
And medicate them. Medicate them long enough to keep working. The same way as we medicate farm animals. Just a bunch of injections. Yeah, just keep them alive long enough to get the milk. Milk's gone. Chop the head off. Boom.
They need to put you in prison.
They're trying.
I can see why.
They're trying. And it's scary. A lot of people, but then what do? Do I just shut up?
No.
You don't think so?
All right. Question to Michael.
No, you can't shut up. I mean, because in the end, your self-respect,
He's not going to answer it, by the way.
your dignity is the only thing.
That's right. And this is what people don't understand. People say, Andrew, why are you fighting this war? And they don't understand that war is certain. You either fight war against injustice and you fight war against the things you know that are wrong and you feel good inside of yourself, or you accept the slave programming and fight a war with your own mind.
That's facts. That's facts. The only thing that needs to happen for atrocities to occur is for good men to do nothing. And unfortunately, as he was talking about, in a different political time, you could just kind of, lay low and not get into this stuff. But unfortunately, the left-wing mob has stuck its tentacles into every aspect of our lives and has politicized everything. So they have decided that you're either with us or you're against us. And they are fighting those who they believe are against them. And if you don't agree with everything that they say, then they believe you to be the enemy. Elizabeth says, some of the stuff Tate says is common sense and correct. I just can't seem to take the pop culture stuff seriously because he feels like a WWE character. A little bit. I definitely see where that's coming from. But I think that's kind of the same thing that people like about Trump. And whether you like Trump or Tate, or whether you hate them both or anywhere in between, we have to understand that they are speaking in a different manner. They may be saying common sense stuff. They may be saying things we already know, but they are cutting through that whatever fog it is that's keeping people from understanding these things. But that's funny. I definitely could see him as a WWE character. And then I used a Fortnite version of him for the thumbnail. So it all works out. Video games and WWE, same shit, right?
You have to fight something.
Yes.
I can shut up and believe what I'm told in the news, but then I won't. Why am I so unhappy all the time? Why am I depressed? Why does my life suck? Why does my woman ignore me? Why do my children not respect me? You're fighting a war. Then you're fighting a war with your own mind. I'd rather have all of me on side and fight against what I know is genuinely evil. You can't escape the battle. The battle's here for all of us. So I've made my decision, and that's why I can't be quiet, because you just said I would lose my self-respect, and I'd lose my dignity, and I don't think I can function that way as a man. And I don't think any man should be able to function without self-respect and dignity. The reason men died on the Titanic was for self-respect and dignity. They went into the icy cold water and died because they would feel honorless
A little bit.
if they jumped on the boat and left the women to die.
That's right.
So when you have self-respect and dignity, you have a hard parameter, and you'll do things which are deemed crazy or insane because you believe in them and you stick up for yourself. And that's why they don't want men to have self-respect and dignity.
Rather be a free man in your grave.
Absolutely.
Based.
So I can't be quiet, and I'm going to say what I believe is true. And I genuinely believe I'm helping the world. I think that any young man who is a follower of mine, I will argue there's no influencer on the planet besides me who is genuinely benefiting their life. I know.
All right, let's get. So that's a two-pronged thing. Do you? So let's just go with the first one. Do you think he is? Let's get the exact wording.
I think that any young man who is
Free man in your grave.
absolutely. So I can't be quiet, and I'm going to say what I believe is true, and I genuinely believe I'm helping the world.
Okay, yes or no? Do you agree that Andrew Tate is genuinely helping the world? And then number two,
I think that any young man who is a follower of mine, I will argue there's no influencer on the planet besides me who is genuinely benefiting their life. I know you're not big.
so do you think he's genuinely helping the world? And do you think there are any influencers who, if people follow them, are benefiting their life more than a Tate follower?
On the internet, I look at these other streamers and these other influencers. They play video games all day. They smoke weed on stream. They talk garbage. It's a bunch of drama back and forth like girls. I'm the only influencer or streamer who's genuinely talking about making money, because you need to have money to escape the matrix. It's very hard to resist enslavement when you have to pay the bills.
Obis says morality should come from a place of what is best for society while impinging on individual rights the least. The least or at least? Well, yes. Well, impinging. Okay, yes, absolutely right. I thought, got brain scramble sometimes, but you got it, brother.
Getting physically strong, because a strong body is a strong mind. Standing up for yourself, self-motivation, all these things. I'm talking about genuinely positive things. Very few people are. And I think that is an extremely important message that needs to be told. And I'm not going to stop doing it, because I know I'm genuinely helping the world. And they're going to try and punish me for it for the rest of my life. I think this is just beginning. And I think when I beat this case, which I believe I will beat, I think something else is going to come.
Ooh. So Elizabeth said, I would argue people who follow Tate can get the same or similar advice from half the red pill community. It's become so mainstream. I think a lot of people would say that. But I would disagree ever since the death of Kevin Samuels. For whatever reason, even though he wasn't like in I mean, he was definitely a red pill content creator, but he wasn't like in that fresh and fit crew like that. Similar to how Richard Cooper of Entrepreneurs in Cars, if you're familiar, he's definitely a red pill guy, but he's not in that circle. And for whatever reason, when the late great Kevin Samuels, shout out, when he died, it just all fell apart. And so, same or similar. And so then we're getting into the minutia of if it's similar, then one is better and one is worse. And that goes back to what you were saying before, Elizabeth, too, that, a lot of the stuff that he says is common sense. And so a lot of people can say it. But I think the point is that he is better at getting the people that he's talking to understand him than a lot of other people. I don't know if he's the best. I would stop at saying the best, but he's definitely up there. JH says he might be that big of a narcissist to believe it, but he's not the best influencer unless he's got a lot of qualifiers. Okay, what qualifiers would you use? Elizabeth said, fair point. He wasn't into the Matrix stuff like the newer side of the community. Yeah, exactly. Nick says his impact is more good than bad, but it's not black and white. Never is it? It never is.
And it's kind of scary because I am a little bit afraid and a little bit intimidated by the incompetence of my enemy, because their standardized playbook is now failing in real time. The standardized playbook is the media attack, the lie, and it's not working anymore. And it got me a little bit worried about what the next move is. You used to just be able to lie about a guy all over the news and you win, right? But now it's like, shut up.
Yep.
So now what? I don't know. And that's what's kind of scary in my scenario, because nobody's going to believe any of the crap they print about me. Nobody believes it. Nobody believes it. Whenever I do an interview with the Matrix media, nobody believes. They have to turn the comments off.
I said, shit, me too. We were actually just talking about this in Discord last night about how, when I try to talk about black issues, I get away with what, genuine, non-malicious questions that a white person probably wouldn't be able to ask because I'm not white, which is a problem because we should be able to talk to each other, understand each other. It's the whole point of this channel. But, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Because everyone in the comments are just ripping them apart.
Well, you do seem very sad on the verge of killing yourself, are you?
Absolutely not. Really, no, I never would. And that's what
you said that. I know.
I have to keep saying it.
I missed it. What happened?
Never would.
Well, you do seem very sad on the verge of killing yourself, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely not. Really, no, I never would. And that's what
you said that. I know.
I have to keep saying it. I have to keep saying it because it's.
Do you know? I think once is enough, especially on my stream, or they're going to demonetize it for saying it.
It's scary, right? But I believe you get 3 lives. I think they cancel you initially. And then when that fails, they try and put you in jail without a reason. And if that fails, there's only one option left after that.
That's right.
So I'm in a very scary scenario. But I guess the same as the men on the Titanic just couldn't get on the lifeboat. I just can't stop saying what I believe to be true. If a young man comes to me and says he's depressed, I'm going to tell him how to become a kind of man who's proud of himself. And if that makes him the kind of person that resists slave programming, I'm always going to be public enemy number 1.
Fair enough.
You've said depression isn't real, or it's not, as the way we describe depression isn't accurate. What do you think of depression?
When I say depression isn't real, that really upset the world, especially the liberals, because they all live on medication, right?
Yep.
When I say depression isn't real, I'm saying that because I don't believe in things that can take away power from me. If I believed in depression, I would have been depressed in jail. But I can't be depressed if I don't believe in it. If you don't believe in ghosts,
not
how
true
can you
at
be
all.
haunted? You have 2 people in a haunted house. One believes in ghosts, one doesn't. There's a knock in the night. One wakes up, calls an exorcist, is terrified, looks for a ghost. The other guy doesn't believe in ghosts. Knock in the night, goes back to sleep. It's the belief in the ghost that gives it the power. If I don't believe in depression, I believe in feeling depressed. Sure, we're humans, we have emotions. Sometimes we feel depressed, sometimes we feel happy. I don't believe in the idea of becoming a depressed person who has depression.
I do. It's just way overused. These medications are way overprescribed. And the most, maybe not even most, but a significant portion of people who are on SSRIs, who are, have these diagnoses, don't really need them. And it's an industry. Just like everything else, it's all about the money. It's all about the money.
I don't believe in that. I don't think that's possible for me. So if I don't believe in it, how can it happen? I don't believe in depression. So why would I not adopt the mindset that makes me the most capable predator I can possibly be? Why not adopt the mindset that makes me as competent and as fearsome as possible?
And remember, I think I put it. I don't remember if I released it. I definitely recorded it, but it was a Jordan Peterson speech about not being timid, and that you have to be aware that you have the capability for violence and danger, as well as the ability to tame it. Because a weak man is not a man who is incapable of violence is not a peaceful man.
If you have to install software in your own mind, why would I not install software that makes me capable of not only driving a Bugatti and flying on private jets, but sitting in a Romanian dungeon covered in cockroaches? I need to be able to do all of it. So why would I believe in something that made me incapable? I don't believe in depression because I think that even the belief in and of itself, when you feel depressed, you'll start to consider, maybe I have depression. Then you go see a psychiatrist who tells you you have depression, and they want you on pills. It's the belief that goes down the spiral. If I feel sad, I go, I'm depressed today. I'll be fine tomorrow.
Elizabeth says, I'm in nursing school. All of the girls my age, 21, in school are on SSRIs, and the teachers push it on us to be productive. That's horrible. It is one of the biggest issues for Gen Z, in my opinion. Yeah, I definitely agree. And, I have diagnosed general anxiety disorder. And, I got my medication right here, just like everybody else. But it's not that type of medication, because I was like, I'm not putting that in my body. I'm not doing that. And I only have a bachelor's degree in psychology. I'm not some psychologist, but I understood enough about what these drugs do, and also spent a lot of time as a recreational drug user to be able to understand how I'm going to react to Xanax-like drugs, to just be like, no, I'm not doing that. I understand myself well enough to know that if I can quell my anxiety, I'm not going to be depressed. And guess what? Despite the doctor's advice, I was right. Nick says, you got it. Be a monster and learn to control it. Exactly. Spot on, brother.
So why? I suspect you're right, or what you're saying is pointing toward truth. That's my personal view. But even if I disagreed with you, I disagree with you. Why is that so offensive, what you just said?
Well, that's what's interesting, because when I said depression wasn't real, the number of people who would attack me defending depression, this is what I didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You say depression isn't real, but depression's ruined my life, and it's super real, and it ruined my life, and I lost my marriage.
It's their whole identity. This is, again, a problem with people not having an American identity. So they need to be the religious guy, or the trans guy, or the depressed guy, or this. Nobody can just be happy being, I am an American. And that's enough for me. And then, whatever music I listen to on the side, whatever movies I like, whatever else, people can't operate that way anymore. They have to be a thing. This is my thing. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I'm like, if I told you it wasn't real, you should be coming to me saying, tell me how it's not real. Please help me with my depression. Why are you trying to convince me that it's real? Why are you sticking up for it?
And why are you defending depression?
And why would I adopt the thinking of someone who's sad? Why would you're going to convince me to take your worldview. You just told me your wife left you, you're fat, and you want to kill yourself. And you want me to sit here and go, with my perfect life, and go, you know what? I want to think like this guy. You're out your mind. I don't believe in it. And because I don't believe in it, it's made me the kind of person who can't become depressed. And the reason they don't like me attacking that is because depression is a fantastic way to subdue a population, right? If everybody's depressed, it's hard to have a revolution. You're depressed.
Well, it's also hard to take responsibility. It's also hard to have a real accountability for the choices that you make in life. And so it's a get out of jail free card. I'm not a bad person. I'm just depressed. I'm not a bad person. I'm just bipolar. I'm not a bad person. And again, I am not saying that these conditions don't exist. I'm saying they are overused. And I mean, someone just threw out the word narcissist in this chat. I mean, it's whatever. I'm not like calling anybody out, but like the not even just the words, but the mentality is, again, just spread out and means nothing.
Oh, they've locked us all in our houses. I don't want to go outside anyway. I'm sad. Right? So,
Michael and Melty, I'm letting you two go. But number one, Melty, you can't use, you guys are going at each other, so you can't time him out. And just keep it, at least PG, please. Thank you. Indie Film said, if you're having trouble sleeping, take two. If you're having trouble sleeping, if you're having trouble focusing, if you're having trouble with life, get out, exercise, take a walk for hours, eat steak, eat chicken, don't eat fast food. There you go. There you go. This is no longer like life advice anymore. This is like, what would they call it? This is ableist. Oh, you don't know what it's like to have depression. So for you to say this is invalidating my experience. And in my life, my truth is that I'm so depressed and I can't do anything. So I need the government to pay for everything. And you are going to fund it. Nope. Elizabeth said, I don't really think Tate has a perfect life either. I mean, I certainly would not want to be on trial for sex trafficking. So I agree with you there. I'm extremely hesitant, she says, to believe anyone who says that. Yeah, I mean, we have to remember that he is, to some extent, being a character. As you said before, right? The WWE thing. So, I think where a lot of people go wrong is seeing, and whether it's an Andrew Tate or a Tucker Carlson or an Alex Jones or anybody like that, they can't separate the character from what's being said. And so the point isn't that or for us to determine, oh, does he have a perfect life or an imperfect life? He's just saying he has a better life than people are complaining about depression. And whether it's real or not, he seems to prefer the way he's feeling. But I guess Nick agrees with you. Said to hit the nail on the head.
Depression's a fantastic tool of population control. They have no problem with you being depressed. They have a problem with you being the opposite, principled and energetic. No, you don't want principled, energetic people. That's a problem. Bunch of depressed people, easy. If you had to invade a country, would you rather the opposing army be principled and energetic or depressed?
I'll tell you, I would not want to be invaded by a cheerful army.
Absolutely.
That's scary.
They're having too much fun, right? You want them all to be depressed. So
a morose army is easier to defeat. I agree.
Absolutely. So depression is a defended idea. You're not allowed to even talk about it. You're not allowed to help people get out of it, right? They like the idea of a depressed population. And this is what I say to people. Now, I'm not stupid. I understand like PTSD is real. I understand mental health is real. I'm not saying that, but I say if you're an 18-year-old boy or 18-year-old man and your life is pretty much okay, bacteria didn't steal your eyesight, which could have happened. You never had a car crash and lost both of your legs, which could have happened. You're actually very fortunate. And you wake up and you say, I'm depressed. I think you're an idiot. I don't think you're depressed. I think you've been psyoped. I think you feel a little bit of depression and you can fix that by changing your life. I think if you became rich and strong and smart and successful and you worked hard and you dedicated yourself and you were motivated and you tried your very, very best to become excellent, you probably wouldn't feel depressed anymore, which means it's not a disease, is it? So why would you? Well, the only reason you're even saying you have depression is because you believe in it.
So
it's not a disease. It's a condition, but I get what he's saying.
Arguing for cause and effect. You're saying if you live a certain way, you're going to feel a certain way.
Absolutely. And I also would argue that I think we've evolutionarily, even though I do believe in God, I think that we've designed ourselves and the human has grown into a way where if you feel depressed or sad, I think that's a fantastic trigger or a warning signal to do something.
Great point. Great point. If you exactly what did anyone say? Any of these things, go outside, touch grass is the meme now. I mean, it's not that complicated. Elizabeth says, yes, maybe that's true. I just think that the caliber of money comes with greed and morality can slip because you have more opportunities to act out and do terrible acts. That is very, very true. And again, when I'm, I mean, y'all, well, I don't know, Elizabeth, if you were here, but, you heard me say like, oh, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. I like that. I like that. That's spot on. I'm just trying to call it how I see it based on my opinion. And the idea here is we're trying to get an understanding of what's happening so that when the reaction to whatever the conclusion to this is, that we're not emotional at that point. We're following this, not because we are specifically huge fans, but because this is important in our culture, for better or for worse. Hey, we got the Camcast in the building. Welcome to the party, brother. Great topic choice. Yep. I mean, shout out to Melty who sent it to me. Nick says, I don't think anyone chooses to be depressed, but they do choose whether to just swallow it or to try to do something about it, or wallow in it, or do something about it. Yeah. Well said. I think that's really the point that he's trying to hit on, is that you may be experiencing these things, but it's your choice whether to wallow in it or to try to do something about it. And so it may be very real, but that doesn't mean it's this death sentence that, oh, you're depressed and now you can't do anything. You can't, all that stuff. Elizabeth said, okay, gotcha. Yeah, sorry, just popped in recently. Didn't know if you were following because you were a fan or because it was a hot topic. So no need for apologies. Yeah, I mean, what this channel really is about is fixing conversation. And the people who are having important conversations, I want to point out what is good about them, what is bad about them, so that on a street level, amongst each other, we're able to better articulate our own ideas and hopefully fix the things that we all want to fix. You know, the people who actually want to hurt children, that's a much smaller group than the entirety of the two sides fighting, even though Michael can't see that. There's a big difference between people who are trying to indoctrinate your kids and somebody who is not trying to indoctrinate your kids and just happens to be attracted to the same sex. But yeah, I mean, hot topic is a good way to put it, I guess. Indie Film said, laying around because you're depressed will actually make you more depressed. All these pills pushed as fixes for everybody. I guarantee they continue the problem the way that way you take more pills. Yep, I mean, like we said, it's a business. It's a business. Shout out to Lil Toes in the building. Welcome to the party. You are not too late. You are right on time. Welcome.
If you were to say to me, Andrew, you have to complete this monumental task.
I would watch that.
You have to conquer the world. I would say, okay, but I need a emotional motivation to do that. I need to be unhappy having not completed the task. You know, I need to be uncomfortable, right? If you're uncomfortable being out of shape, you'll get in shape. If you're happy being out of shape, then you're just going to stay out of shape, right? So if you feel a degree of uncomfortableness inside of your mind, I think it's just your mind
do something about it.
Like needs to change.
Yes.
You need to get up and change something. Guys would say to me, I'm depressed because I'm fat and I have no girlfriend. And I'd say, no, you have no girlfriend
because you're fat.
And you're fat, and that's why you're depressed. If you go change those two things, you'd probably be surprised that your disease goes away. I had another guy say he was going to kill himself. I said, listen, it's back when I used to reply to my emails when I was smaller. I said, make me a promise, get a six-pack first.
Of beer?
Yeah. Do you think Tucker was joking? That's a genuine laugh. I don't know if I've ever seen a smile that big on Andrew Tate's face during an interview. That was hilarious. Did you guys hear that? That was funny.
He was going to kill himself. I said, listen, it's back when I used to reply to my emails when I was smaller. I said, make me a promise, get a six-pack first.
Of beer?
I said, get a six-pack first, get in fantastic shape, and then do whatever you want.
Oh, man.
Didn't want to kill himself once he was in fantastic shape.
So he did it?
Yeah. I have the before and after. I'll put him on Twitter. Kind of interesting that, isn't it? So how are we going to say we have this disease?
So Elizabeth said, that's so true. Beginning of Rona, I was feeling super sad for one of the first times in my life. And I sat around in the dark and had pity for myself. After picking up exercise again, I was a new person. Guys, it's that simple. You know, as a professional dog trainer, I often will use the line with new clients that what we're going to do here, we're going to talk about stuff. We're going to separate simple and easy. There's a big difference between that which is simple and that which is easy. Everything that we're going to be learning is going to be simple enough for a dog to understand it. But that does not mean it's going to be easy for you. And so this is very simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. So shout out to you. Daniel said, drop your cock, go grab your socks, time for a walk. I like that. I like that. There we
which
go.
is cause and effect. How are we going to say we have this disease where there's something wrong with you as a man, you have a disease because your life sucks? I mean, I don't think that's true. I think that your life just sucks and you should change it. And another thing I also preach, and this is another thing that's very important, I also think as a man, because life as a man is pain and suffering. And when I say that, because you're never going to be a good man or good at being a man without pain and suffering. You're going to have to go through a bunch of shit and have a terrible life to become a good man. I think you should embrace that and accept it. And I think that the correct mental model for men to have is a degree of stoicism and not to be too concerned with.
Oh wait, you're not talking about showing your face when you use a voice changer and don't show your face, right? You realize how easy it is to be all big in your britches when you make your voice sound like this and you're stuck behind a picture, right? Like you're not cool because you're anonymous. Like that's cringe as fuck.
Even how they feel. If I woke up today happy, I would have done this interview with you. If I woke up today sad, I would have done this interview with you. What's the difference? Why put so much importance on my emotion if certain things must be done? I must work, I must train, I must see Tucker Carlson, I must resist the Matrix.
You've got duties.
I've got things to do. So why are we going to sit around and talk about how I feel if it doesn't even affect how I act? And as a man, it shouldn't, because there's too much to do.
Now, and again, this is where I can see people saying, "Oh, this is toxic masculinity. You're sad, then you need to." And I don't necessarily agree with Tate that you should just don't worry about it. Just go do something. Just go worry. It's not that simple all the time. Thankfully for Elizabeth, that worked. But for other people who actually do have this thing, I think it's people don't appreciate that. But because so many people don't actually have real chemical depression and are leaning on that as a crutch, that's why he's saying it the way he's saying it, in my personal opinion.
And the masculine world is hyper competitive. This is another thing most people don't understand.
Totally agree.
It's hyper competitive out here. All the women want a few men at the top. The Ferrari, you don't want a Ferrari to drive fast. You want a Ferrari because other men want a Ferrari and can't have one. It's hyper competitive. So if you're competing against every other man for every dollar you make, every girl you see, the house you live in, the car you drive, the life you live, you're not going to be able to compete with the person who performs regardless of how they feel if you only compete when you feel like competing, right? Because there's men like me out there who will be sad every day and outcompete you regardless. I don't care how I feel.
True.
I will still win.
Nick says, the Indian Jesus, oh, that's me, is awesome because he's working to bring reasonable, rational people together to have civil conversations with each other so we can learn from each other.
Bingo!
He's got a good heart. Well, thank you, Nick. I really do appreciate that.
And that's the kind of mindset you need to adopt. So when a man
You've
comes...
got a job to do. Stop whining. Go to work.
Completely.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely. So when men say, oh, but I feel sad. Who cares? The world doesn't care. All the men who are out here to destroy you and take your girl don't care. So why do you care? Like the person who should care least is you. You're the only person who wakes up every day who should have a genuine vested interest in improving your life. Nobody else wakes up and wants to improve your life. Only
Especially if you're a man.
you. So if nobody else cares about how you feel, why do you care?
Well, that's a dumb question. Nobody else cares how I feel because they're not feeling it. I care because I am feeling it.
My argument also for depression is you're depressed, fine. Have you trained today? That doesn't change what you should do with your life, depressed or not. And I don't say this because I'm an eternally happy person.
Oh, wait. Whoa. Guys, we got to stop the show. Oh, my goodness. Whoa. Oh, my God.
Say this because I've experienced all ranges of human emotion. I was in a Romanian jail cell with cockroaches crawling all over me as I slept. I never missed a day of training. I wouldn't say I was particularly happy, but push-ups must be done. So they got done.
You're very close to your brother.
Correct.
And you were locked away for part of that with him. And did you have fun at all with him?
Yes.
Jesse Lee Peterson.
Beta.
That guy.
I do think there's something inside of men. Whereas if you're with your boys or you're with your group of men, there's something inside of us.
Totally.
And it allows you to make the...
You should see the actual debate we had.
absolute best of the worst situations. Maybe that's an evolution from war. You know, all the men went to war and you saw all this pain and suffering and you saw heads, people decapitated and you're injured, but then you sit around the campfire and you're laughing.
You're laughing. That's right.
It's something inside of us. It's like a coping mechanism when you're around men. So when me and him were together, no matter how bad the scenario or no matter what they tried to do to us, part of us would just look at each other like, cigarette?
Beta.
You never heard that? That's where that's from.
Beta.
Amazing.
And you find joy in that. And yeah, there's definitely, and that's another thing I think a lot of men are lacking. A lot of men are missing is a masculine support network. I think buddies.
Yeah.
You know, you talk to a guy and say, what was the highlight of your life? What was the best time of your life? And they'll say, college football. It's not about the football. It's about the team.
It's about the camaraderie. It's about the camaraderie. And this is why my first tattoo, that's why my first tattoo was for my best friend that died in a motorcycle accident. Because I didn't have a very close family life. And that was my brother. And I mean, I have friends, but none of them are like that. But they're just like I was talking about before with with women in a romantic sense. If you've never had the type of relationship with a woman that a lot of us have, then it's easy to see how you don't know what you're missing. And same thing, if you don't have like a real tight group of dudes who are like your boys, I can understand how you seeing like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of people I talk to on Discord all the time. Like, that's awesome. Like, our Discord is awesome. It really is. But it would be a lot better if we could all hang out in real life, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You know? And I think a lot of that's destroyed as well.
Oh, JH said, whatever came about him sleeping with dudes.
What?
I do not know. I do not know about that. Rather tacky trying to name drop. Oh, gotcha. Yep. Well,
because also it's interesting how everything interconnects. When you destroy honor and principle and the masculine essence inside of men, well, now as a man, it's very hard to have friends. I wouldn't want to have a male friend who had no principles, no honors, and didn't work hard and was always crying about being sad.
I had a friend like that. And we were both, loser drug addicts. We were depressed. We didn't have money because all of our money went to drugs. And then I made a change in my life. And I was like, yo, we can do this. We can change. And I told him, when I make it, we make it. But he dropped out and didn't want to go along with anything. He's never seen a video. He's never, done anything. And so, all right. And then I still get Snapchats from him blowing lines at 3 a.m. with people I've never seen before. So it's like, all right, dude. I mean, I tried. I did everything I could. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Camcast said, the world isn't empathetic. Finding people who care is tough. Yup. So you ought to be kind to yourself and not beat yourself up. Completely agree. Well said, sir.
What do I want to hang around with him for? He's a loser, right? So then your support network's destroyed. And I think that men have always needed that since the dawn of time. And I think that's gone. But
they don't have friends. Men, especially middle-aged men, have no friends.
Absolutely, because they've been told that to give them all away and do as the wife says. And then she left him. No wonder he wants to kill himself. Wouldn't you? No wonder he's depressed. It just sounds like the worst existence ever. And now we're living in a world now, especially where everything is hyper competitive, especially the sexual marketplace. Like if you're a 52-year-old, overweight, average income, no fame dude, and you have to find a girl, it's going to be pretty difficult to find a good one. It's going to be very hard.
That's the key word, finding a good one. You can find one, especially if you got the money. But a good one is hard to find. Nick said, nothing is the same as a true friend. Best gift someone can give you. And not everyone can be a good friend. Sorry for your loss. Thank you. It was 10 years ago. So, it's not recent, but, big, big moment in my life. Any films taking things personally here. Come on, man. If it makes you uncomfortable, what does that mean?
So like, of course he's lonely. Then and his kids don't respect him. They're busy. Like, of course he's sad. Like it's actually heartbreaking to discuss.
It is heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. But then how do you prevent that happening? Well, then you need to be a man of honor and principle and make sure that you keep your support networks and make.
Shout out to Melted Mind Media, YouTuber extraordinaire. Thank you so much for coming through, brother. I just dropped the link to your channel. Please, guys, definitely go check him out. Have a good one. Jake says he hit the gym and he was okay. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that.
Make sure that your woman does respect you. And a woman's going to respect you when she sees other men respect you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only going to respect you if you respect yourself. But to respect yourself, you have to be the kind of person who says no.
What do you think of porn?
There's been some statistics.
Okay, wait. I wish I could make a poll for this. Do you think that he's going to be in favor or, I mean, remember, he's the cam girl guy. So if is he going to be in favor or against? Unwanted post said everyone needs their own Mac mittens. Not familiar. Sorry. I'll definitely have to check it. Yeah, the Islam thing. I think he's going to go against it, but I hope then Tucker is like, well, wait a minute though. Well, wait a minute. I thought that you were doing something that is, similar to pornography. In his pretend stupid voice.
There's been some studies done. Most men or less men are having sex than ever before.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and
What
that's
is that?
Well, that's an extension of the fact that masculine virtue is being destroyed. That's the thing that's interesting about all these things. They psyop, especially men. They say, listen, women want a feminist man. Women want a man with no moral principle who would make sure that there's a conversation about who should fight the burglar when your house is broken into, because equal opportunities, equal rights, of course. Don't presume just because you're a man that you should defend her physically. Of course not. That makes you a bigot and a misogynist.
What?
So they convince men to adopt these virtues and ways. And of course, women, by and large,
Come on.
dislike them for it. So now as masculinity is plummeted, a whole bunch of men are simply not having sex anymore. And then they become addicted to porn, which is cucking, effectively. Two people having sex and you're just watching it. And it's become
Good point.
I mean, and it's become a pandemic, right? So men are replacing genuine sexual relationships with just the computer screen and porn, and it's becoming a very, very big problem. And that's also exasperated by the fact that I think the sexual marketplace has become globalized. This is the thing I say to young men.
I'm starting to understand a little better now that I have this idea of the young men not having the same experiences, that P-Hub is good enough because I've never had the real thing, or buddies on Discord is good enough because I've never had real friends. I'm an adult, so if I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. It ain't gonna be no thing. But I can certainly see how if you're 15, 17 years old, and like I said, you've never had these experiences, especially if you never had either, how bad it can be. And I think it's not until just right now that I'm thinking about it in a perspective other than my own. So maybe P-Hub is worse than I thought.
A lot of men come to me with problems, and my only answer to them is masculine excellence. I say that in the world we live in today, being a normal man or below normal is going to be terrible. You have to be an exceptional man because the sexual marketplace, especially, even if you just want to find a wife, is globalized. Mm-hmm. If you, in 1955, if you met the hot girl in the Nebraskan town, she was the hot girl in the Nebraskan.
Come on.
In town.
Exactly. Yeah, Camcast saying that P-Hub distorted my youth. And I didn't really, because when I was introduced to P-Hub content, it was you would download a picture from Napster that would take 20 minutes. And it might be this, it might be that. You don't know what it is. And it's just a picture, and then obviously before my time, there was magazines. But I think the video is just a degree too far, that it's too realistic and also not realistic enough because it's not real. But it's enough that if you don't know the difference, you might be like, yeah, this is good. Yeah, usually it was a virus. Exactly. Where is that? Well, I'll put that up. But facts. There we go. Come on. Well, I think the universe is giving us a sign, guys.
If you meet her today,
maybe
she's
not.
being offered to go to Courchevel and go skiing in France, and she's
Right.
being offered to fly to Dubai. And there's millionaires who can just fly her anywhere and give her anything she wants. And who are you? Right? It's getting harder and harder as a man to even find the most basic human function of reproduction. Even to just find a woman you can reproduce with, it's becoming more and more difficult. You also couple that with the fact that they've destroyed morality in women also.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, you say also, but that is why, or at least partly why, it's so hard. It's not because I can't attract women. It's the women that I attract.
Oh, hell no.
And it's not because I'm some loser. I mean, I'm certainly not, let's say my attributes are not maxed out. But it's the girls that would be attracted to me when I was younger, it was just different. Now women are and I know it's not all women. I know that. I strongly believe that there are a lot of good, wholesome, intelligent women out there. But where? Where?
So when you destroy the morality in men and you destroy how a man should act, and then you destroy how a woman should act, you're both going in the opposite direction. Most women out there are very happy to share a man who's just rich and famous, and they don't care.
It's
right. So if you're the normal guy, there's this rich famous guy with 30 girls. That's 29 dudes who are lonely, and they end up watching porn. And if you have a porn addiction or you have a problem with porn, you have a problem with yourself, because I guarantee if you're the kind of man you're supposed to be, you would have no time for that. And you wouldn't need it. I can confirm that's absolutely and utterly the case.
Yeah.
So the fact you even need porn shows there's a problem with you as a man, because if you were the kind of man you could be, and I genuinely believe that any man can become anything, then you'd have unlimited sexual options and you would have no interest in that. And I do want to make this clear to the world, because there's a bit of a misconception about my story.
Yeah, that's me. An endless sea of options, but I'm just not into any of them.
My father was in the military, and then he left to become a professional chess player. He was a traveling chess player. You don't make money with that. My mother and father broke up at age 9. We moved to England purely because you get more help from the state. I was raised on welfare in Marsh Farm, which is the worst area of the worst town, Luton, with the highest crime rate. I went to a school with a 4% pass rate, single mother household effectively. Started from absolutely nothing, became a kickboxing world champion.
Your mother was English?
English, correct. So I started at the absolute lowest echelon of life, and I would like to consider myself somewhere near the top now.
Started from the bottom, now we're here, top G. Nick, what I'm not 100% sure what you mean by this. That. Yeah, if you could give me a little more on that. I think I agree with you. I'm just not sure I know what you mean. Nick says, it's bad for people like you were talking about, but it's not bad to us that know it's not close to reality or even what we actually want. Sex is great. Sex with someone you love is amazingly awesome. Absolutely. And P-Hub is not that. But it's not that. You know what I mean? And I mean, I know that there's dudes out there with like real dolls and like, things that'll stimulate the Quack 5000 and all that. And I just, I mean, for me, it was never like, I don't care about that much. But I was just like, oh, if that's what you do, like, whatever. But thinking about it from a younger person's perspective and understanding how people think about relationships and the inability to understand what it's like for, like, really, really to be in love with someone. Like, not even on some, just like on some real shit, like to really actually love somebody. If you don't know what that's like, if you don't have your boys, if you don't know for sure, like Akon stepped in front of a gun for me. Do you have any friends that for sure would step in front of a loaded gun for you? It's just, all right. Now we won't talk about the sex dolls. Well, with that being said, I think this is a good place to put a bookmark in it. If you guys are really enjoying this, we could come back for part 2 on Friday for the rest of it. But let me know what you guys thought. I really, really, really do appreciate you guys, especially the new people. Thank you so much for coming through and hanging out. And a big thank you to the sponsor of the stream, I almost said Melted My Media. Not Melted My Media. He left early. He's not welcome anymore. It's only indie film. Only indie film. Sorry about that. But yes, indie film, sponsor of the stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And even if you guys are not able to do that or don't want to, being here, hanging out with me, spending time just going through this stuff is so it's so important to me, and it means so much to me. I really do enjoy not only having these conversations, but you know, getting myself out there. And I would say that you guys should definitely be, you know, see that there's so much value in being able to express yourself. And so whatever you can do to get better at doing that, I think is the way to go. So don't forget, we are headed right over to the after party in Discord. The link is right in the bio. If I have any mods left, they could drop the link. I'll do it. Link is dropped. It is free to join, but it will not always stay that way. But it will for you if you join. When we hit a certain number of members, I'm cutting it off. Everybody who's in there is going to stay for free forever. And everybody else is going to be on the outside. Oh, take my money. Take my money. I want to hang out with you guys. Trust me. So join while you can. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. You are awesome. And I really do love you. I hope to see you on Friday. And don't forget, I drop new videos, short videos every single day, whether I'm streaming or not. And they're pretty cool, I think. So check them out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I am sorry that Morty was not here, but I am definitely, I still have his treat from Indie Film that he definitely will get, even though he was not here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate it. Replay gang, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Do you want a part 2, or we can do something else? It's up to you. I just want to have fun with you guys. Until then, once again, I'm your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.